Chapter 932. Kidney failure again? It can't be wrong. I do feel uncomfortable, my kidney hurts and I'm peeing blood. I went to a big hospital for a checkup. Jianghu said. Is that so? Could it be that the kidney has been in my body for a long time and was assimilated by me? That's why it rejected your body? Pin Liang started bullshitting. He couldn't let Jianghu find out, otherwise Jianghu wouldn't let him go so easily. What you said is possible. Jianghu heard Pin Liang's explanation and understood. Did you take a lot of medicine to prevent the kidney from rejecting your body? Yes, it must be the medicine that changed your kidney. Pin Liang thought that Jianghu was quite smart. He didn't even know how to explain it and he already found a reason for it. Is that so? Then what should I do? Right now my kidneys are rejecting it. Jianghu wanted to cry but no tears came out. His kidney. How could it be assimilated by Pin Liang just like that? What should he do? He didn't dare to go to a big hospital to find a solution. After all, this matter was a bit strange. If he told the truth, it was hard to guarantee that the doctor wouldn't be suspicious. If the doctor asked him why he transplanted the kidney to someone else and then transplanted it back, how would he explain it? Plus, he took a lot of medicine to prevent the kidney from rejecting it. If the doctor had another solution, he wouldn't have asked him to do the surgery. It wasn't like he couldn't afford it. Your situation is a little special, but I know a miracle doctor. You can go to him. He might have a solution. Pin Liang said after some thought. Miracle doctor? Where? Tell me, I'll go to him. Jianghu said quickly. Go to Floating Cloud Bar and find Zhao Yaowang. He's Master Bing's family doctor, and his medical skills are quite good. He's very famous these days. Have you heard of him? Pin Liang said. I've heard of him. The internet seems to be saying that Zhao Yaowang is really good. Jianghu nodded. I'll go to him now. Pin Liang hung up the phone and cursed at the idiot before calling Master Bing. Hello. Bing picked up the phone. He was having a great time listening to Zihua and Yaowang's report. It seemed that Peng Zhan was at the end of his rope, and Lin Yi hadn't appeared yet. This meant that all the information was correct and Lin Yi was crippled. He was now a cripple. Bing was overjoyed at the thought of owning a real estate company. Master Bing, I'm Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang said. What's Liangzi? What's the matter? Under normal circumstances, Zhao Qibing wouldn't talk to Pin Liang directly, but since he was in a good mood today, he didn't get mad at him. Pin Liang, on the other hand, called because of the urgency of the matter. Master Bing, I've introduced a fat sheep to you. You just have to rip him off. Oh? Really? That's great. What illness? Qibing's mood brightened when he heard that someone was giving him money again. It's that Jianghu, the one who got a dog kidney. Pin Liang said. He's showing signs of rejection now. Yaowang will decide how to deal with it. No problem. Xiao Yangzi, I will remember this merit of yours. House Zhong will definitely benefit from it. Qibing said. It's my duty to do things for Master Bing. Why would I need any benefits? Pin Liang said hypocritically. After Pin Liang hung up the phone, Xiaofu gave him a thumbs up. Liang bro, you're brilliant. Brilliant. This Jianghu is dead because of you. What a ruthless move, killing without spilling blood. He should be thanking you for tricking him to death. Of course, that's the best way to treat your enemy. Pin Liang laughed. I, Pin Liang, am no longer the Pin Liang I used to be. What we're doing now is smart, unlike before where we only knew how to do things recklessly. Yeah, Liang bro, I've noticed that you're getting smarter and smarter. Xiaofu nodded. Haha, come, let's continue celebrating Lin Yi's death and Peng Zhan's fall. Pin Liang raised his glass. Cheers. Xiaofu said happily. Right, Liang bro, you said that Lin Yi is like this now. Why don't we go and kick him a little and get some benefits back? What for? You idiot. Pin Liang glared at Xiaofu. Why can't your IQ grow like mine? Why are you still at kindergarten level? Do you dare go to elementary school level? I haven't been through life and death. I don't have opportunities like you, Liang bro. Xiaofu laughed dryly. But why can't we go? First of all, don't underestimate that Lin Yi. He's able to toy with us like this, even crippling me. He's no ordinary person. Pin Liang humphed. That kid's the best at pretending to be weak. Did you forget how badly he played us? That's true. But this time he lost his strength, right? Xiaofu nodded, then shook his head. Lost? How do you know? Pin Liang said. How do you know if he's really gone or not? What if he's lying? It's not like he hasn't done it before. Master Bing thought that he lost his strength last time, but what happened? The skyscraper collapsed again. I see. Xiaofu thought about it. It made sense, but he still asked. But why hasn't Linny done anything yet? I don't understand that kid. He's not like that idiot Jiangwen who I can play with. Pinliang shook his head. In other words, I'm traumatized. Lin Yi's situation isn't something a normal person can understand. Oh, that's true. Xiaofu nodded. That's the first thing. Is there a second thing? The second thing is, look, the ones fighting for benefits are all people like Xiao family and Master Bing. My old man, as Master Bing's subordinate, would think that we're stealing food from a tiger's mouth? That wouldn't be good, would it? Pinliang said. Liang bro, you've thought of everything. Xiaofu said, impressed. Now's not the time for us to show off. When Zhang Naipeo leaves the mountain, that's when I, Pinliang, will show off. Pinliang said proudly. Chapter 933. To Evil. Jiangwen had been very happy these past few days. Not only did he get his kidney back, but he also got the underground arena that the Fire Wolves promised him. What Jiangwen didn't expect was that the Fire Wolves promised to send him a mystic early-phase physical practitioner, but now they sent him a mystic mid-phase peak physical practitioner. This huge difference in strength surprised Jiangwen beyond words. This was a practitioner who was one level higher than Lin Yi. Of course, Jiangwen didn't know that Lin Yi had lost all his martial arts. He had been focusing on his kidney these past few days, and he didn't have the mood to ask about other things. However, when Jiangwen found out that his kidney didn't match, he came back to reality from his fantasy. He didn't have the mood to think about other things anymore. He rushed to the floating cloud bar and saw Master Bing and Yao. Jiangwen knew Master Bing and Sihua. They even worked together to sell their kidneys, so they weren't strangers. Jiangwen told them his purpose as soon as he entered the bar. Master Bing and Yao, who already knew the truth, pretended to be surprised as they looked at Jiangwen. Master Wen, didn't you get your kidney back? How can it not match? I don't know. It's like this. Zhong Pingliang said that it might be because my kidney was in his body for too long, and it's assimilated. Jiangwen said with a bitter face, the hospital can't do anything now. They want me to have a kidney resection, but I don't want to lose my kidney. This is my original kidney, and if it's removed, wouldn't I be getting it back for nothing? So I can only go to Yao. I heard that Yao is a great doctor. Do you have a way? Ichim, the kidney doesn't match? Yao had received a hint from Master Bing that Jiangwen was quite rich, and he had to think of a way to get some money from him. However, Yao didn't have any good ideas for Jiangwen's current situation. His kidney wasn't even his, it was a dog's. What could he do? When Zhong Pingliang called, Yao and Master Bing were discussing a solution, but they couldn't think of anything good. After all, human kidneys and dog kidneys were completely different. No matter how powerful Yao was, he couldn't make them match. I'll give you a check first. The Medicine King pondered for a solution. He couldn't let this fat sheep escape. Even if the Medicine King was a swindler, his methods of swindling money were not random. Although he cheated people of their money, he also planted other diseases in them while curing their illnesses so that he could continue to cheat them of their money. But the problem now was that he couldn't cure Jiangwen's illness. This was not an illness at all. It was just that the organs did not match. There was no other way but to remove it. No matter how powerful he was, there was no way he could create a compatible kidney for Jiangwen. What do you think? Yao, do you have any ideas? Jiangwen saw the frown on Yao's face and his heart sank. He asked carefully. He didn't know that Yao had no ideas at all. The reason why he frowned was because he couldn't find a way to cheat him of his money. That's not easy. Yao shook his head pretentiously. Your kidney has already been assimilated to a great extent. Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have come to you, Yao. I heard that Zhen Yingjuan's crooked mouth and eyes were fixed by you. Can you fix my kidney too? Jiangwen begged. I really don't want to lose this kidney again. Fix it a little. Yao sighed. How was he supposed to fix this thing? This kidney wasn't even his, how was he supposed to fix it? Yao didn't have any ideas. Although he could get some money out of Jiangwen temporarily, his reputation would be ruined if Jiangwen found out that the kidney was still rejecting him. Yao cared about long-term profits, not short-term profits. He couldn't ruin his future business just because of Jiangwen. I'm afraid that you will have to remove it. Yao sighed and shook his head. Can I not remove it? Jiangwen was on the verge of crying. He didn't think that even the famous Yao couldn't do anything about it. If I don't remove you, Chem? The Medicine King wanted to say that it would be useless to keep it in his body if he did not cut it. However, he suddenly had an idea and thought of a brilliant idea. Wasn't Jiangwen trying to keep this kidney in his body? It didn't matter if he didn't remove it. As long as he used his pure qi to seal the meridians around the kidney and make it useless, everything would be fine. As long as the nutrition of the kidney was maintained, it wouldn't die. However, it wouldn't function like a normal kidney. That was what Jiangwen wanted. One kidney wasn't going to kill him. Jiangwen wouldn't be able to tell if this kidney didn't function. He could just tell him that it was fixed. Ah, he was really evil. How could he come up with such a wicked idea? He was Yaowang after all. Plus, this method was very secretive. Only people with pure qi would be able to do it. Normal people wouldn't even think of this method. Those who didn't know would think that Jiangwen's kidney had recovered. So Yaowang wasn't afraid of Jiangwen going to the hospital for a checkup. What's wrong? Yaowang, have you thought of a way to save me? Jiangwen paused when he saw Yaowang in deep thought. It's not that I can't do it, but it's going to cost me a lot of pure qi. I've already used up a lot of it during my treatment. I can't keep using it anymore. I can't make ends meet. Yaowang shook his head and sighed. You know that I'm a practitioner. Pure qi is very important to me. It's even more important than my life. Practitioners can't do without pure qi. Just like Lin Yi, he's out of pure qi. Isn't he in trouble now? Yaowang said. Lin Yi? How come Lin Yi doesn't have pure qi? Jiangwen paused. He didn't have the time to think about Lin Yi. He quickly said, Yaowang, saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. Please save me. I'm willing to spend any amount of money, as long as you can heal my kidney. I see. Yaowang didn't say anything. He looked at Master Bing. Yaowang, Master Wen used to be our partner. We had a good time working together. Now that he's in trouble, we can't just leave him to die, can we? Zhao Qibing tried to smooth things over. Chapter 934. Chapter 933, Uninvited Guest. How much? Jiangwen asked quickly. 10 million. Yaowang rarely asked for less than 10 million. Although this money was used to scam Jiangwen, it wasn't used to cure his illness. Yaowang was a black-hearted man. Even if he wanted to scam someone, he wouldn't do it cheap. Fine. Jiangwen gritted his teeth. He wasn't rich, and most of his money was given to Housen and the Firewolves. But this time, the Firewolves gave him 20 million to start the underground arena. Taking out 10 million in one go made his heart ache. But for the sake of curing his illness, he'd rather spend it like crazy in the future. He had to spend this 10 million now. Alright, I'll do it then. Yaowang nodded and took out his silver needles. He pretended to poke them into Jiangwen's body, but in reality he was secretly using his pure qi to seal the meridians around Jiangwen's dog kidney. The dog kidney could only absorb nutrients, but it couldn't function as a normal kidney. From now on, Jiangwen's kidney would live in his body like a parasite. Yaowang didn't know if this would cause any side effects, but he didn't care. Now that Jiangwen was cured, it wouldn't have anything to do with him if it happened again in the future. Who knew, he might even be able to collect a huge sum of money from him. Half an hour later, Yaowang finished his work, sweating profusely. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and said weakly, It's done. But I've used too much pure qi, I need to rest. Jiangwen felt that his kidney wasn't hurting anymore after Yaowang's work. It was really effective. He was overjoyed. That's it? Thank you, Yaowang. Thank you, Yaowang. Wow, I've finally become a normal person with 2 kidneys. Yeah, congratulations, Master Wen. Zhao Qibing said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. In his heart, he was cursing the kid for being an idiot. Master Bing, I'll transfer the money to you when I get back. You won't doubt my reputation, right? Jiangwen came in a hurry and didn't bring any money with him. He didn't use the phone transfer service. It doesn't matter. We are also long-term partners. I know your credibility. Zhao Qibing waved his hand. Just transfer it back to me when you get back. You've given me quite a lot of money in the past. No problem. Jiangwen was thinking that he'd go back and try again to see if his kidney had recovered. If it really didn't hurt anymore, he'd transfer the money to Zhao Qibing. Now that his kidneys were healed, he remembered what Yaowang said about Lin Yi. He asked curiously, Master Bing, what did Yaowang say about Lin Yi? Is he out of true qi? You don't know? Zhao Qibing froze. He was the one who spread the news that Lin Yi's martial arts were crippled. Logically speaking, everyone who had a grudge against Lin Yi should have gotten the news. Why didn't Jiangwen know? I've been peeing blood from kidney pain these past couple of days, and I'm not in the mood to care about other things, so I'm a little out of touch with the news. Jiangwen smiled bitterly. I see. Master Bing nodded. He didn't hide anything and told Jiangwen about what happened to Lin Yi and House Chu. He even told Jiangwen about the Shao family, him, and House Yu going to Pingzhan for money. After all, it wasn't a secret. Jiangwen only needed to ask around when he got back. Plus, Lin Yi was Jiangwen's enemy. Telling Jiangwen about this would make him happy and transfer the money to him as soon as possible. Oh? So you're saying that Pingzhan has nowhere to go? Jiang Wen asked, surprised. Of course. This time House Chu is done for. Zhao Qibing laughed. But I really didn't think that House Yu would join in the fun. They even took all of Pengzhan Industries' shares and made Meng Yao a concubine of House Yu. Diske, that kid from House Yu got lucky. Zhao Qibing didn't think there was anything wrong with House Yu's participation. He was going to take the real estate company anyway. House Yu might be the #1 noble house in the common world, but he didn't dare to disrespect Zhao Qibing. He was leaving Pengzhan Industries, and he was going to give the real estate company to Zhao Qibing. Oh. Jiang Wen frowned in his heart, but on the surface he looked regretful. Man, if the Firewolf supported me, I'd go and get a share. But my case just came out, it's not good for me to be in the limelight. I don't think there's a chance. Yeah, but you're really unlucky, the whole place was raided by the police. But it's good that you're fine. Where there's life, there's hope. Zhao Qibing naturally didn't know that Jiang Wen was thinking about other things. He thought that Jiang Wen was really sad. Forget it, I'll go first. I'll transfer the money to you when I get back, Jiang Wen said calmly. Take care, Master Wen. Zhao Qibing pretended to be warm as he said goodbye. Jiang Wen nodded and said goodbye to Zhao Qibing. He left the floating cloud bar, he had more important things to do. Jiang Wen wasn't an idiot. The reason why he was tricked by Pin Liang was because he thought that the kidney belonged to him. He didn't suspect anything else at all. In fact, Jiang Wen was a very cunning person. Yao Wang, did you fix it for him? Zhao Qibing couldn't help but ask after Jiang Wen left. No. Yao Wang quickly took off his jacket. Just like last time, he used his pure energy to make himself sweat. In fact, the amount of pure energy he used on Jiang Wen wasn't even as much as the amount of pure energy he used to make himself look like he was sweating. Then you? Zhao Qibing paused. I just made his dog kidney lose its function and sealed some of his meridians. Other than absorbing nutrients like a parasite, he can't do anything else. Yao Wang explained. Zhao Qibing heard Yao Wang's explanation and was overjoyed. That's too mean, too mean. Ah, but I like it. That's right, working for Master Bing, how can you get rich without being mean? Yao Wang said respectfully, Master Bing, I'll go take a shower first. I can't take it anymore, it's so hot. Go, you really are my god of wealth. Ah. Zhao Qibing laughed happily. His luck was really good recently. Linyi was done for and his business was getting bigger and bigger. Once Pengzhan and Linyi were done for, Songshan would be Zhao Qibing's world. After leaving the floating cloud bar, Jiang Wen drove to Pengzhan Industries. Jiang Wen was the 5th uninvited guest that came to Pengzhan Industries today. Chapter 935. Taking advantage. Pengzhan didn't understand when he saw Jiang Wen walk in. Was he here to take advantage of the situation as well? Jiang Wen? What are you doing here? Pengzhan frowned. He didn't seem to have any conflict with Jiang Wen, and his daughter only rejected Jiang Wen's pursuit. Uncle Chu, I'm here to help you. Jiang Wen said humbly, maintaining the attitude of a junior in front of Pengzhan. He was walking a different path, not to force Pengzhan, but to take advantage of the situation. Help me? Help me with what? Pengzhan paused and asked. Uncle Chu, you must be in a lot of trouble right now, right? So many people are looking for you, Shao family, House Yu, and Zhao Qibing. You must be panicking right now, right? Jiang Wen smiled. Did you come here to make fun of me? Pengzhan was annoyed and didn't want to waste time with Jiang Wen. What do you want? Uncle Chu, don't be so distant. Don't you know who I am? I've been Yao Yao's childhood friend since we were young, and I love her so much that I came here to help when I heard you were in trouble. Jiang Wen said. How are you going to help me? Pengzhan asked patiently. Uncle Chu, the reason why things have turned out this way is because that kid Linyi is useless. He doesn't have any strength and that's why your enemies came at the same time. Jiang Wen said, everyone kicks a man when he's down, and that's the logic of beating a dog when it's down. If Linyi hadn't lost his strength, would these people still be looking for trouble? Aren't you spouting nonsense? If Linyi was the same as before, why would they be looking for trouble? Pengzhan wasn't happy. Beating a dog when it's down? Are you saying that I'm a dog? But Pengzhan's temper was gone, and he didn't want to argue with Jiang Wen anymore. That's why if you had a strong backer, wouldn't your problems be solved? Jiang Wen smiled. A powerful backer? Where's the big backer? Pengzhan humphed impatiently. I wouldn't need you to tell me if I had a backer. It's here. Jiang Wen patted his chest disappointedly. Uncle Chu, your big support is me. You. Pengzhan frowned. Yes, you still don't know my real background, do you? Jiang Wen introduced himself proudly. House and we're working for the Firewolf Gang now. You must have heard of the Firewolf Gang? Naturally, Chu Pingzhan had heard of the firewolves before. They were the biggest gang in the north, but they were rather secretive. They controlled a lot of businesses in the dark, but they never did anything personally. They were the kind of gang that people wouldn't easily know about. But Pengzhan had heard that the firewolves were very powerful, and many big houses had to give them face. Firewolf gang? Can you get the firewolves to help me? Pengzhan asked. Oh, of course not. Jianghu shook his head awkwardly. Then what's the point of saying this? Pengzhan felt that Jianghu was up to no good at this time, so he didn't give him a good face. Jianghu laughed dryly, but we can borrow their power. If Yao Yao marries me, then she'll be the daughter-in-law of the firewolves. When I show up, I believe that the Shao family house you, and even Zhao Qibing will have to give me face and give up on you. Marry you? Pengzhan couldn't help but be amused. He finally understood what Jianghu was planning. So this was what he was planning, to take advantage of the situation. Yes. Jianghu said proudly, I'm not afraid to tell you, Uncle Chu, the firewolves have sent another master to stay by my side, a physical practitioner at the peak of mid-phase of mystic class. House Zhao's Uncle Pai is only a mid-phase physical practitioner, and House Yu's Yu Bide is only a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner. Zhao Qibing's Yao Wang is only a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner as well. Plus, he's an expert in medicine, so he's not even worth mentioning when it comes to actual combat. Pengzhan froze. He didn't expect Jianghu to have such a master by his side. No wonder he dared to talk terms with him. I didn't expect you to have such a powerful master by your side. Pengzhan nodded and said faintly. Yes, Uncle Chu, what do you think? As long as Yao Yao marries me, I'll announce to the public that I, Jianghu, am your son-in-law. Then I'll get my mystic mid-phase physical practitioner to come out and intimidate the public. I think no one will dare disrespect me then. Jianghu laughed. But I'm afraid that even if I agree, Yao Yao won't. Pengzhan, however, rejected Jianghu's suggestion. So Jianghu, please leave. Wah. Jianghu froze. He didn't expect Pengzhan to reject his suggestion. When he first came here, he was full of confidence. As far as he knew, Pengzhan was at his wits' end. Other than accepting his suggestion, only death awaited him. But Pengzhan really rejected it. Jianghu panicked. Uncle Chu, what do you mean by this? Don't you want to protect Pengzhan Industries anymore? To me, Yao Yao's happiness is more important than Pengzhan Industries. Pengzhan shook his head. Working with Jianghu was like asking a tiger for its skin. Especially after knowing Jianghu's dark background, Pengzhan didn't want to work with him anymore. Plus, Yao Yao wouldn't agree to marry Jianghu. What was the difference between that and marrying into House Yu? With Yao Yao's personality, she would rather die than marry into House Yu. But even if Yao Yao doesn't marry me, she still has to marry into House Yu. Jianghu said unwillingly. Could it be that Uncle Chu already has a plan? No. Pengzhan shook his head decisively, but Yao Yao won't marry into House Yu. Jianghu heard Pengzhan's words and calmed down. So Pengzhan didn't have any other plan. So, Pengzhan's rejection must be because he was still hoping that House Yu didn't push him too far. So Pengzhan must think that he could negotiate with House Yu again? Chapter 936. Chapter 935, Songs Han. Oh. Pengzhan replied faintly, his face expressionless. Actually, I do want to help House Chu, but I don't have any grudges with the Shao family, House Yu or Master Bing. If I don't have a reason to stand up for them, then it'll be hard for me in the future. So I can only let Yao Yao marry me. No one can say anything about it. It'll be hard on Yao Yao, but the heavens and earth can see my feelings for Yao Yao, and I'll treat her well in the future. Jianghu continued after seeing no response from Pengzhan. Oh, I understand, you can leave now. Pengzhan nodded and sent Jianghu away. Jianghu's suggestion wasn't very tempting to Pengzhan. If Mingyao liked Jianghu, then Pengzhan would be happy to see it happen, but the problem was that his daughter didn't like Jianghu at all. Marrying her to Jianghu was the same as harming her. All right, Uncle Chu, think about it and call me anytime. Jianghu nodded and left Pengzhan's office without another word. He understood that no matter what he said, he wouldn't be able to change Pengzhan's mind so quickly. But Jianghu firmly believed that Pengzhan would call him the moment he couldn't take it anymore. After all, this was Pengzhan's only choice. It seemed like he had to think of a way to get House Yu to put more pressure on Pengzhan, and that was the only way Pengzhan would come to him when he had no other choice. See you out. Pengzhan didn't like Jianghu taking advantage of others like this, but he couldn't say much about it. After all, Jianghu wasn't looking for trouble, and Pengzhan was already very thankful. But what should he do now? Pengzhan fell into deep thought, a little lost. Bad news came to Wanner's ears one after another, but she couldn't do anything about it at all. Although she was powerful and the palace master of the Dark Knight Palace, the Dark Knight Palace was controlled by the Great Elder. Without the Great Elder's permission, no one could go down the mountain without permission. Palace Master Wan sat uneasily in the pavilion. At this moment she didn't have the heart to train. Her heart had already flown to Songshan City. If she could fly, she would definitely fly there. Palace Master, Elderly is here again? Little Qing looked at the frowning Palace Master and felt very uncomfortable in her heart. However, she was only a little lass. What right did she have to speak? Let him in. Didn't I say that Elderly can come in directly? Wanner heard that Elderly had come again and quickly ordered Little Qing. On this day she had already received several pieces of bad news. She had already asked Elderly to keep an eye on the movements in Songshan City. Who knew if there would be any new news? I hope it's good news. Yes. Little Qing replied somewhat helplessly, but I have already let Elderly directly come in. He was the one who asked me to inform the Palace Lord. Then bring him in quickly. Palace Master Wan'er nodded. Greetings, Palace Master. Elderly walked in under Little Qing's lead and bowed to the Palace Master. Uncle Li, didn't I tell you to come in directly? Palace Master Wan'er asked urgently. How is it over there? Miss, the rules can't be broken. I can't let people get hold of me anymore. Elderly smiled bitterly. If I give up this little bit of power in the Dark Shadow Group, then I really won't be able to help you at all. Alright, I understand. Uncle Li, you're making me anxious. How are Pengzhan and Yao Yao? Palace Master Wan'er smiled bitterly. It's still bad news? How's you went to find them too? Elderly sighed and shook his head. How's you? Why did they go too? Palace Master Wan'er was shocked. How did Pengzhan offend Houseyu? It's not him, young master actually didn't offend Houseyu. Elderly said, it's Yu Kuan from Houseyu. He broke into Mrs. Villa at night and injured Mrs. Pet Dog, General Weiwu. Miss was furious and asked Linny to kill Yu Kuan. But because of Li Fu, Linny let Yu Kuan go. But Yu Kuan was now a cripple, and so Houseyu used this as an excuse to take revenge on you. Why did Houseyu break into Yao Yao's villa? What do they want? Palace Master Wan'er was really angry. It's just a common world, Houseyu, how dare they touch my daughter? If Grand Elder agrees and recognizes Miss, then Houseyu won't dare to touch her. Elderly smiled bitterly. Even the hidden house behind Houseyu would have to think twice, not to mention Houseyu. Yeah? Palace Master Wan'er sighed. My poor daughter. Houseyu went to Linny because Linny has a few pieces of the map of Sky Class Island. Elderly said. He has pieces of the map. Palace Master Wan'er was surprised, but she shook her head. Let's not care about him. What did Houseyu say? What do they want? Houseyu proposed to let Miss marry them as a concubine and let young master's company be part of the dowry. Elderly sighed. What? Palace Master Wan'er stood up, shocked and angry. How can they be so shameless? How dare they? If Miss came, they wouldn't dare. Even if I came, Houseyu wouldn't dare. But I can't leave the mountain. Elderly said helplessly. The Dark Shadow Group is in charge of gathering information. There are no masters in it. No. I'll go beg Grand Elder. I can't let anything happen to him and Yao Yao. Something happens to them, what's the point of living? Palace Master Wan'er couldn't sit still anymore. If it was really like what Elderly said, then Housechu was finished. Her daughter's life was finished. She couldn't let her daughter's life become a tragedy. She definitely couldn't. Sigh. Elderly sighed. I'll go with Miss. Palace Master Wan'er and Elderly walked quickly to Grand Elder's training area. As soon as they entered, Palace Master Wan'er said seriously, Grand Elder, Wan'er wants to leave the mountain. Leave the mountain? Have you broken through Sky Class? Grand Elder asked faintly, not caring about Palace Master Wan'er's anxious expression at all. No. That's why Wan'er asked Grand Elder to let me leave the mountain. If Wan'er breaks through Sky Class, then I can leave the mountain whenever I want. Palace Master Wan'er said. Chapter 937. Begging and rejecting. I beg of you. Grand Elder, I'm begging you, let me go. Wan'er didn't expect the Grand Elder to be so resolute. She couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Grand Elder, Wan'er's husband's family is in trouble. I can't just leave them be. Get up. You're the Palace Master of the Dark Palace, kneeling just like that, what's wrong with that? The Grand Elder saw how weak Wan'er was and couldn't help but be furious. Why are you so different from your grandmother when she was young? If you want to leave, then show your strength. What can you achieve by crying? Kneeling in front of the enemy, do you think he'll let you go? But Grand Elder, you're not the enemy. Please let me go. I can't lose Pingzhan and Yao Yao. Wan was still kneeling on the ground, begging. I said no, so no. The Grand Elder smiled coldly. Don't even think about it. They're in trouble, it's better if they die, lest the Sky Elixir sect laugh at us if that bastard lives. Grand Elder, no matter what, Pingzhan is my husband and Yao Yao is my daughter. Wan couldn't help but cry. I can't just ignore them. Husband my ass, your husband is the second young master of the Sky Elixir sect. He's the one who gave the betrothal gifts. The Grand Elder said coldly, look at that Pingzhan, he can't even handle a couple of clowns, he's a complete wimp. What's there to love about someone like that? Now do you see how correct and wise my eyes are? What's the use of a wimp like that? He should just die. Although the Dark Shadow Group was in the hands of Elder Li, the other people in charge of the Dark Shadow Group were also people from the Supreme Elder's side. Therefore, the news from the Dark Shadow Group could be received by the Supreme Elder immediately. Wan'er's grandmother had entrusted the Dark Night Palace to the Great Elder before she passed away. She had devoted her entire life to making the Dark Night Palace flourish. But she had never expected that the Dark Night Palace, which was connected by marriage with the Heavenly Elixir sect, would have such a scandal like Wan'er running away. Their relationship with the Heavenly Elixir sect became tense, and overnight, the Dark Night Palace became the laughingstock of the martial arts world. The Great Elder was annoyed by Wan'er's disobedience. Although he was harsh and unreasonable to her, he never thought about replacing her as the palace master. He only wanted to help her break through to sky rank. From this, it could be seen that the Grand Elder was selfless. It was just that she placed the interests of the Palace of Darkness on a level that was even more important than her own life. As for the Palace of Darkness, there was no such organization as the Dark Shadow Group before. It was only after Wan'er ran away from the marriage that the Great Elder and Elder Li formed the Dark Shadow Group to search for Wan'er. This was also the reason why the Palace of Darkness found Wan'er after she got married and had a daughter in the mortal world. If the Great Elder doesn't agree, Wan'er will kneel here forever. The Palace Master Wan'er brought out the stubbornness she had when she ran away from the marriage. Oh, do whatever you want. Once you kneel until your lover and little bastard die, you'll get up naturally. The Grand Elder said nonchalantly. Grand Elder, let me say something. Elder Li spoke up. Grand Elder, if something really happens to Pingzhan and Meng Yao, then I believe the Palace Master won't be in the mood to train anymore. It'll affect her training speed and even affect the Sky Rank meeting, our Palace of Darkness ranking. Once they die, she'll naturally stop. She hasn't made any progress after all these years, isn't it because she still hasn't satisfied her lust? The Grand Elder said coldly. I want to go down the mountain. Uncle Li, you come with me? The Palace Master Wan'er heard the Grand Elder's unwavering words and stood up suddenly. Man? Elder Li paused and sighed bitterly, feeling a bit helpless. Miss, even if you want to go down the mountain, you should go back and plan with me first. Going down like this, is that even possible? As expected, the Grand Elder looked at the Palace Master Wan'er as if she was a joke. Go down? Elder Li, you're not going to be stupid with her, are you? Elder Li smiled bitterly. I'll send the Palace Master back now. She's just a bit emotional, I'll talk to her. No need. The Grand Elder waved his hand. Men, capture the Palace Master and keep an eye on her until I say to let her out. Yes. When the highest elder finished speaking, two women dressed in the same manner as Elder Li walked over. One on the left and the other on the right, they held one. Palace Master, please excuse us. These two were the same as Elder Li, elders of the Dark Palace, but their skills were on par with Wan'er's. It was easy for the two of them to grab one. The Palace Master Wan'er smiled bitterly and looked at Elder Li. She fainted in grief. She knew that she couldn't leave, and she regretted her impulsiveness. But even if she didn't say anything, would she be able to go down the mountain? He was afraid that the Grand Elder would find out about it before he could even make it to the bottom. Elder Li sighed. He felt that he had to do something. He knew the Miss Personality very well. She looked weak, but she was actually very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suddenly run away from the wedding without any warning and caught everyone off guard. If something really happened to Pingzhan and Meng Yao, then the Miss wouldn't be able to live. A dog that barks doesn't bite, but a dog that bites knows how to bark. It was a crude phrase, but it made sense. The Miss was like that. Elder Li, I'll be leaving first. Elder Li said and turned to leave. Elder Li, you've watched Wan'er grow up. Go and accompany her, talk to her. The Grand Elder sighed. She was afraid that Wan'er would do something extremely stupid and catch everyone off guard, so she asked Elder Li to watch over her. On the other hand, the Grand Elder was also afraid that Elderly would make some private decisions and arrange things on his own. Elderly naturally understood the Grand Elder's meaning and nodded his head helplessly. From the looks of it, he couldn't do anything even if he wanted to. With the other two elders watching, Elderly really didn't have the chance to do anything. Son-in-law, little miss, I hope you can safely get through this calamity. Linny, I have high hopes for you. I've always treated your appearance as an opportunity for the miss and miss to meet. Although I haven't figured out your background yet, it doesn't stop me from having a premonition. Chapter 938. Chapter 937, Old Chu's attitude tonight was the day Linny left, but it was already very late. Pengzhan didn't go home, but sat in the chairman's office in Pengzhan's skyscraper, smoking. Pengzhan didn't go to see Linny off, because he didn't want to tell Linny about what happened in the company and put the pressure on Linny. This pressure should be shouldered by himself, not Linny. Pengzhan wasn't a heavy smoker, but the cigarette butts in the ashtray on the desk had already piled up into a small hill. Some of the butts had even fallen onto the desk and the ash was everywhere. But Pengzhan didn't have the mood to clean up the cigarette butts and ash. His mind was completely focused on Pengzhan Industries and Yao Yao's future. He could give up on Pengzhan Industries, but he couldn't give up on his beloved daughter. Pengzhan was a person who valued relationships, and he was the polar opposite of those who valued their career. Some people could sacrifice their children's happiness for their career, forcing them to marry someone they didn't like. But Pengzhan, for the sake of his children's happiness, was willing to give up on everyone. Pengzhan felt like he was going to die. If some things could be solved with death, then he would rather die. But not now. He couldn't die. Even if he died, he couldn't change Mingyao's fate. From Xiao family's words, he could hear some leeway, and Zhao Qibing's request was the most reasonable one. It wasn't an exorbitant demand, but it was still within an acceptable range for Pengzhan. But House Yu's request was a little overboard. Not only did they take away the company's shares, but they also wanted Yao Yao to be a concubine of House Yu. If Mingyao was willing to be someone else's concubine, then Pengzhan would let it go, but the situation now was that Yao Yao couldn't marry into House Yu. Pengzhan knew his daughter's personality too well, and if she was forced, she would rather die. Looking at the time, Lin Yi should have left already, right? Pengzhan, in his helplessness, made his final decision. After hesitating for a while, he dialed his father's number. Pengzhan really didn't want his father to worry about him anymore. His father was retired and he should be enjoying his life, but Pengzhan kept troubling him with company matters. This time the Chu family had reached an extremely critical moment. If they didn't think of a solution, the Chu family might very well perish. If House Yu wanted Mingyao to marry into their family, would Pengzhan have to put on a wedding dress for his daughter? Pengzhan, are you very distressed now? Old Master Chu picked up the phone and asked calmly. Father, you know what happened here? Pengzhan paused. I know a little. Although you are the chairman of the company, don't forget that I founded Pengzhan Industries. I have eyes and ears in the company, Old Master Chu said. Father, what should I do now? Pengzhan Industries is finished. The Xiao family, Zhao Qibing and House Yu are all here. In an instant, it seems like all the forces have gathered in Songshan, and all of them are coming for me. Pengzhan heard that his father knew what happened here and he opened his heart and poured out his heart. I'm really powerless, I don't know what to do. Pengzhan Industries, if they want it, just give it to them. You might know a little, but when I was young I ran a company, but because of my lack of experience it went bankrupt. Old Master Chu smiled and consoled, and Pengzhan Industries is my second business. When I founded Pengzhan Industries I was already as old as you are now. So, even if I fail this time there's still a chance in the future. Father, I can give up on Pengzhan Industries, but I can't give up on Yao Yao's happiness. I can't let her marry into House Yu, it'll ruin her life. Pengzhan smiled bitterly, and you know Yao Yao's temperament, she'd rather die than marry into House Yu. Why does she have to marry into House Yu? Old Master Chu smiled, didn't I tell you to marry her to Lin Yi? Pengzhan froze and smiled bitterly, Lin Yi's martial arts are all crippled, and he's going back to his hometown to find a way to recover his strength. I've tried to persuade him to stay, wanting him to be my son-in-law, using Pengzhan Industries as a dowry for Yao Yao to marry him, but he rejected. Pengzhan, your thinking was wrong from the start. Pengzhan Industries is nothing to Lin Yi. So, you need to look further, don't worry about the benefits in front of you. Old Master Chu said, did you forget what I told you before? It's us, House Chu, who's trying to get on Lin Yi's good side, he's not trying to take our property. I didn't forget, I remember that, so I've always been kind to Lin Yi, treating him as one of our own. Pengzhan said humbly. Then what's the problem in front of you? Old Master Chu smiled. Oh? Peng Zhan didn't understand what his father meant. Keeping Lin Yi is more important than keeping the company. Old Master Chu said. You mean? Peng Zhan paused, understanding his father's meaning, but he wasn't too sure. Isn't Lin Yi going back to his hometown to seek refuge? You can just take Yao Yao with him, Old Master Chu smiled. If Lin Yi doesn't want to stay, you'll send Yao Yao to him. Ah? But Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Plus, his girlfriend is going back with him. It's not a good idea for Yao Yao and me to follow him, right? Peng Zhan felt like he was being a rascal. Who told you to follow him? Old Master Chu asked back. Don't tell him first, wait for him to leave, then you and Yao Yao will follow him. He can't kick you out when you arrive, can he? Is that so? Peng Zhan said. But isn't that a little rascal? Besides, Lin Yi has a girlfriend. If Yao Yao goes like this, wouldn't she be the concubine? Although Peng Zhan could accept Tang Yun because of his daughter, and he made it clear in his conversation with Lin Yi, that was based on the situation where Lin Yi married Meng Yao. That way, his daughter would be the leader, and as for Tang Yun, as long as his daughter didn't say anything, Peng Zhan naturally wouldn't say anything. But now, following Lin Yi back, wouldn't that be weaker than Tang Yun? Ichim, then do you want Yao Yao to be a concubine for House Yu or a concubine for Lin Yi? Old Master Chu asked. Chapter 939. All good things must come to an end, but remember you have to be discreet when you leave, and you have to leave before Xiao family, House Yu and Zhao Qibin find you. Once they find you, you won't be able to leave even if you want to. Old Chu reminded. I understand, father. Peng Zhan nodded. Lil Yi should have left already. I'll go pack up and follow him with Yao Yao tonight. House Chu's villa. Lin Yi didn't have much luggage, only a small bag with a few sets of clothes the miss gave him, as well as the Wanyankin box he got from the auction, and the 2 pieces of map that he didn't know what they were for. These 2 days, Lin Yi tried his best to avoid seeing Meng Yao and Yushu. He wasn't a plant or a tree, he couldn't be emotionless. Lin Yi had feelings for the miss and Shu. Or rather, it was more or less the same as Tang Yun. After all, the daily interactions had made Lin Yi fall in love with these 2 girls. One was cold on the outside but warm on the inside, and the other was dumb on the outside but not dumb on the inside. But, no matter if Lin Yi wanted to face it or not, the day of parting had finally come. In the living room, Meng Yao and Yushu watched Lin Yi pack up his luggage. They sat on the sofa quietly, a little sad. Yao Yao sis, is Shield bro really leaving? Yushu's eyes reddened again. Her tone this time was different from usual. There wasn't the playful tone anymore, it was a little depressed. Yes, he's leaving. Meng Yao nodded. So it's true. This day has really come. Yushu sighed. Yeah, it's true. Meng Yao nodded again. Yao Yao sis, I want to go with him. Yushu said suddenly. What are you talking about? How can you go with him? Meng Yao shook her head with a smile. We're about to take the college entrance exam, are we not going to take it? Aren't we going to school? Yushu nodded. Let's go, we'll go see if Lin Yi needs any help. Meng Yao stood up and walked towards Lin Yi's bedroom. Meng Yao used to hate this bedroom. Whenever Lin Yi was there, she would avoid it. She didn't know when it started, but this feeling had changed. She had gotten used to Lin Yi's existence, and this room was Lin Yi's. Meng Yao had already treated Lin Yi as a part of the villa, and was used to the happiness she felt when Lin Yi was around. Lin Yi, do you need our help? Meng Yao asked as she stood at the door, staring at Lin Yi's back. Lin Yi smiled. It's fine. I don't have much luggage. I only have the clothes you gave me. I'll take them with me. Meng Yao felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to cry. Lin Yi didn't forget to take the clothes she gave him. Meng Yao was touched. Will you think of me and Shu? Meng Yao asked. Of course. Lin Yi nodded. It'll be a beautiful memory. I'll cherish it for the rest of my life. Me too. Meng Yao mustered up her courage and whispered. Me too. Yushu said. Shield bro, you can't forget me. I can't forget you even if I forget Yao Yao. Lin Yi smiled. Umph. The mist didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Lin Yi's words. Alright, I'm leaving. Lin Yi said as he picked up his luggage from the bed, turned around and walked towards the door. However, the miss and Yushu stood at the door. They didn't move away from Lin Yi. All good things must come to an end, right? Lin Yi smiled. My duty is over. Don't be so unprepared when the new bodyguard comes. It's easy for me to go upstairs. Just be careful of him stealing the miss. You jerk. Meng Yao blushed. She glared at Lin Yi. She wanted to say, why don't you come up then? But she couldn't say it. This wasn't a joke. How could she laugh when Lin Yi was leaving? Take care of yourself. General Wei Wu can be trusted. It's very powerful. It can handle normal enemies. Lin Yi nodded to the Mississippi N. Meng Yao knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth. She couldn't block the door and stop Lin Yi from leaving. She pulled Shu to the side, but her heart was sad. Lin Yi put on his backpack and walked out of his room, but paused for a second as he walked to the villa's entrance. He felt sad. This was the mission that he missed the most, but it was also the mission that he failed the most. Shield bro. Yushu called Lin Yi suddenly. And? Lin Yi turned around and looked at Yushu. What's wrong, Shu? Will you come back after you recover your strength? Back to the villa? Yushu asked. If I recover to a higher level than before, I will come back. Lin Yi nodded and said. But Lin Yi knew that it would be difficult. He said it to comfort Yushu. External martial arts were different from spiritual martial arts. Once external martial arts reached a certain level, there would be a bottleneck. This bottleneck was 100 times harder to break than the bottleneck of spiritual martial arts. If one wanted to practice external martial arts and reach a higher level than before, he would need to be at least mystic mid-phase. Yushu nodded. Then it's a deal. If you recover to a higher level than before, you have to stay in the villa forever with me and Yao Yao sis. It's a deal. Lin Yi nodded with a smile. I want a pinky promise. Yushu ran over and stuck out her pinky. Okay. Lin Yi helplessly made a pinky promise with Yushu and even stamped, pinky promise for 100 years. Whoever changes will be General Wei Wu. Yushu said. Lin Yi nodded. It was time for him to leave. Goodbye Songshan, goodbye villa. Goodbye those people he was familiar with. Woof woof. General Wei Wu seemed to feel the sad atmosphere and barked at Lin Yi. Ha, General Wei Wu, protect Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi was very confident in this highly intelligent Golden Division dog. It had a high IQ and could probably understand his conversation with Yao Yao and Shu. Otherwise, it wouldn't have such a strong reaction when Lin Yi went out every day. Woof woof. General Wei Wu quickly ran to Lin Yi and jumped into Lin Yi's arms. Chapter 940. Meridian Repair. A familiar energy flowed into Lin Yi's body rapidly. Just when the energy entered Lin Yi's body, Lin Yi's muscles contracted and his pores opened up, greedily absorbing the energy. Lin Yi's body was like a sponge that had lost its water. Once he entered the water, he started to absorb the energy crazily. This was his own energy. Lin Yi was too familiar with this feeling. At this moment, Lin Yi was like a drop of water falling into the embrace of the ocean. He couldn't help but moan in comfort. As the energy flowed into his body, Lin Yi's damaged meridians started to repair themselves rapidly. Lin Yi's eyes widened as he looked at General Wei Wu with surprise and joy. General Wei Wu seemed to be in pain, but it didn't run away. It was still lying in Lin Yi's arms. Sometimes one could walk all over the place only to find it effortlessly by chance. The energy in General Wei Wu's body, wasn't it his own energy? Just when Lin Yi was troubled by the lack of energy in his body and couldn't repair his meridians, Lin Yi forgot that General Wei Wu, strictly speaking, was his master's dog. General Wei Wu's energy was his energy, so he could use it on himself without any problem. Don't disturb me. Lin Yi didn't have the time to explain to Meng Yao and Yushu anymore. He carried General Wei Wu into his room and locked the door. Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, were confused by Lin Yi's sudden action. Yao Yao sis, what's wrong with Shield bro? Yushu looked at the closed door and asked curiously. I don't know. Meng Yao shook her head. She was puzzled as well. What was Lin Yi doing? They were about to leave, but he suddenly carried General Wei Wu into his room. What was he trying to do? Did Shield bro see General Wei Wu and can't bear to leave? Yao Yao, are you telling me that our relationship isn't as deep as General Wei Wu and Shield bros? Yushu's tone suddenly turned bitter. Meng Yao didn't know how to answer because she really didn't know what Lin Yi was doing with General Wei Wu. But why did he close the door? Did he want to do something to General Wei Wu before he left? But that's not right, General Wei Wu is a male. Yushu asked curiously, oh? Is Shield bro gay? Shu, what are you thinking? His thoughts are so complicated. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. The girl was getting more and more out of line. Do you want a beating? I don't. Yushu stuck her tongue out and shut her mouth. Since he doesn't want us to disturb him, then let's not disturb him. Meng Yao was panicking. General Wei Wu was much stronger than before, and she knew that Lin Yi had lost all his martial arts, so he was no different from an ordinary person. Meng Yao was afraid that General Wei Wu jumped on Lin Yi and used too much force when Lin Yi wasn't prepared, causing Lin Yi to be injured. That was why he couldn't wait to heal himself in his room. However, Meng Yao was afraid that Shu would be worried if she said it out loud. It was just a guess. What if it wasn't the truth? Lin Yi went back to his room and sat cross-legged on the bed. He closed his eyes and enjoyed the energy that came from General Wei Wu's body to nourish his injured meridians. On Lin Yi's face, there was an expression of comfort and pain. At this moment, Lin Yi was in pain and happiness at the same time. Lin Yi, who had become an ordinary person, couldn't stand the surging energy from General Wei Wu entering his body. However, when the energy entered his body and healed his meridians, Lin Yi felt extremely comfortable. Inside Lin Yi's body, the meridians were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Fu dash. Lin Yi took a deep breath. One of the main meridians in his body had healed itself under General Wei Wu's energy. Lin Yi's face showed an expression of relief. It was time, it was finally time. He didn't have to hide anymore. Lin Yi wasn't completely clueless about the things that happened in Songshan these 2 days. How could Lin Yi not know that all the major forces were looking for trouble with Chu Pingzhan at the same time? Fatty Lai was also a businessman. How could he not know? He just didn't know the details of the conditions. But what could Lin Yi do even if he knew? Lin Yi was still helpless. Other than finding a way to recover his strength, there was no other way. Of course, Lin Yi only thought that these forces were only after Chu Pingzhan's assets. Although he was depressed, he didn't say anything. After all, whatever they lost today, Lin Yi would definitely come back and make them pay with their own hands. Lin Yi just remembered that the energy he used to heal his meridians came from General Wei Wu. Lin Yi was shocked. He opened his eyes and looked at General Wei Wu, who was in his arms. He saw that General Wei Wu's face was filled with pain. Its already ugly face was twitching. It was terrifying. This energy originally belonged to Lin Yi. Lin Yi naturally knew how much energy was needed to heal a meridian. Now that all of it came from General Wei Wu's body, could it withstand it? With that thought, Lin Yi subconsciously wanted to put General Wei Wu down. But something strange happened again. General Wei Wu seemed to be glued to Lin Yi's body and couldn't let go at all. The energy in its body was still pouring into Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi's face froze. What was going on? Lin Yi suddenly remembered that when he was treating Xiao Xiao, a similar situation happened. The energy in his body suddenly leaked out uncontrollably. With that in mind, Lin Yi had a pretty good idea of what was going on. If he didn't seal some of the acupuncture points in the recipient's body, the energy in his body would be sent to the recipient uncontrollably. Didn't something similar happen when he was treating General Wei Wu? In order to avoid wasting energy, Lin Yi had to seal some of Bojia's acupoints with silver needles before treating him. However, that was based on the fact that he was using the art of dragon mastery. Only then would the energy be transferred from his body to the recipient. But General Wei Wu didn't know the art of dragon mastery, so how did he control the energy in his body? Could it be that it was only because it was a tall dog that he had modified so it resonated with his body, resulting in this effect? Chapter 941. Dog of the same master. General Wei Wu in front of him seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. In the end, he couldn't even open his eyes. However, there was nothing he could do. He could only watch as the energy from General Wei Wu's body flowed into his body and continued to repair his damaged meridians. As time passed, Lin Yi could clearly feel that the energy inside General Wei Wu's body was getting weaker and weaker. The energy that flowed into his body wasn't as strong as before. He wasn't sure if it was because the repair of his meridians increased his endurance or General Wei Wu was really dying. General Wei Wu, I hope you can hold on. Thank you for helping me get through this. Once I recover my strength, I will help you recover your strength too. The energy was getting weaker and weaker. Finally, there wasn't a single drop left. General Wei Wu separated from Lin Yi's body and collapsed on Lin Yi's bed. He didn't know if he was dead or alive. Phew. Lin Yi could clearly feel the energy in his body. He recovered, he really recovered. Although the meridians in his body weren't completely healed, and even if they were healed, the energy stored in them was still very weak. But Lin Yi knew that he wasn't far from recovering his strength. This feeling was really comfortable. Lin Yi took a deep breath and hugged General Wei Wu. He placed it in his arms and entered the space of the jade pendant. This way, once Lin Yi's meridians were all repaired, there would be extra energy. Then, when Lin Yi activated the art of dragon mastery, the energy would be continuously transferred to General Wei Wu's body. This way, he could ensure that General Wei Wu could be healed in the shortest time possible. Lin Yi was afraid that he wouldn't be able to heal General Wei Wu in time after he fully recovered his strength. The advantage of this was that he could provide energy to General Wei Wu first. After General Wei Wu recovered his strength, he could recover his own strength. Jiao Lao, my meridians are repaired. As soon as Lin Yi entered the space of the jade pendant, he couldn't wait to enter the cultivation state and activate the art of dragon mastery. Jiao Yazi glanced at Lin Yi, but he didn't want to disturb him. It wouldn't be too late to talk about it after he finished cultivating. The energy in the space of the jade pendant was instantly mobilized by Lin Yi and surged madly into Lin Yi's body. However, the energy in the jade space was more than 100 times stronger than the energy that came from General Weiwu. Fortunately, Lin Yi's meridians were almost fully repaired. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to withstand such a terrifying surge of energy. A strange flush appeared on Lin Yi's face. This was a sign that his body was gradually recovering. Lin Yi could feel that all the injuries in his body seemed to have started the self-healing process at the same time. This was many times faster than using General Weiwu's energy to repair his meridians one by one. The energy in the space of the jade pendant seemed to be endless and inexhaustible. Lin Yi was like a person who just came back from the desert and desperately needed water. He greedily absorbed the energy in the space for his own use. As the endless energy surged into his body, Lin Yi's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened and joy appeared on his rosy cheeks. It was repaired, it was really repaired. Lin Yi could feel that all the injuries in his body were healed. His meridians could once again store energy like before. After the joy, Lin Yi didn't stop. He closed his eyes again and continued to use the art of dragon mastery. The energy in the space of the jade pendant continued to flow into Lin Yi's body. However, because Lin Yi's body was hugging General Weiwu who was about to die and Lin Yi was using the art of dragon mastery, the energy that flowed into Lin Yi's body didn't stay in Lin Yi's body. Instead, it stopped after the meridians were repaired and used Lin Yi's body as a medium. The energy was sucked into Lin Yi's body from the space of the jade pendant. After completing the conversion process, it flowed into General Weiwu's body. Therefore, Lin Yi could finally take a break from his busy schedule. The energy wasn't absorbed by Lin Yi, so Lin Yi could open his eyes and speak. Phew! Lin Yi let out a long breath. Ever since he was injured, he had never felt so good. Seeing that Lin Yi opened his eyes again, Jiao Yazi looked at Lin Yi strangely. Little Lin Yi, why didn't you continue your cultivation? No, you're still absorbing energy. No? But all the energy that I absorbed is given to General Weiwu first. It's just beside me. Lin Yi felt refreshed and his body was filled with the passion of battle. I didn't expect you to recover your strength in this situation. I was careless and forgot that you have a dog from the same sect. Jiao Yazi exclaimed, if I remembered it earlier, your meridians wouldn't have been repaired until now. Oh yeah, Jiao Lao, I want to ask, why can I use the energy in General Weiwu's body? Lin Yi asked curiously, but the energy in my body can only be released after I use the art of dragon mastery? Hee, that's because you're different from that dog. Its strength comes entirely from you, not from itself. Jiao Yazi seemed to know that Lin Yi would ask this question. He laughed and said, so, it can only be called a yellow class inner chi master dog. Yellow class inner chi master dog? Lin Yi repeated this nondescript name and looked at Jiao Yazi confusedly. What does that mean? It's simple. It's the same as other golden class inner chi masters. It has the strength of a golden class inner chi master, but it doesn't know how to cultivate. It can't absorb energy by itself and it can't level up by itself. To put it bluntly, it's a master that you created. It will be the same as you created it in the future. Jiao Yazi explained, as for why the energy in its body suddenly surged back into your body, that's even simpler. Because it was created by you, all the energy in its body comes from you. It's like you're placing your energy in its body. When you don't need it, it can borrow your energy to become a golden class dog. But when you need it, you can take it back at will. Chapter 942. Lin Yi was shocked. This was a passive skill. When he used it, both he and General Weiwu would be in a passive state and couldn't be controlled. But, isn't the energy in my body omnipotent? If my opponent is injured, will he absorb the energy in General Weiwu's body? Lin Yi suddenly thought of a scary possibility and asked. If this skill was passive, then when others needed energy, would today's scene also happen? No. Jiao Yazi said something in English. Why not? Lin Yi didn't understand. The art of dragon mastery is actually an omnipotent chant for energy conversion. You can use this chant to absorb the energy in nature and the space in the jade pendant into your body and convert it into the form of pure energy that you need and store it in your body. Jiao Yazi explained, other people's kung fu is different from yours, so the type of pure energy they need is different too. The energy in your body is called omnipotent because you can use the art of dragon mastery to convert it into any type of energy you need. That's why you can save injured people. But General Weiwu doesn't know the art of dragon mastery. The energy in its body will always be your own energy. Other than you, no one else can use it because it can't convert it. I see. Lin Yi suddenly understood the logic behind it. No wonder General Wei Wu's energy didn't need to use the art of dragon mastery to convert it. It was because it was its own energy. General Wei Wu didn't cultivate pure energy before, so whatever Lin Yi lost to it was what it was. But it was different for others. Lin Yi's pure energy couldn't be used without the art of dragon mastery. Luckily you held back, or else we'd be in trouble this time. Jiao Yazi sighed, but everything has its own destiny. It's good that you can get through this successfully. Hee, but with General Wei Wu, I have another trump card to protect my life. It seems like I can still use the true energy bomb. Lin Yi smiled coldly. With this trump card he could fight against opponents who were a few levels higher than him. But it's better if you don't use it if you can. Jiao Yazi shook his head. Huh. Lin Yi was startled as if he was splashed with cold water. First, if it doesn't explode properly and explode into your heart or brain, you won't have to wait for the dog to get energy. You'll die immediately. Jiao Yazi said. Echa. Lin Yi nodded with a bitter smile. It was true that this chi bomb was very dangerous. It was the type of bomb that harmed others without benefiting himself. It was basically a sure kill attack that would take the enemy down with itself. Second, if you can't kill your opponent in one blow, he'll kill you. Jiao Yazi said, so I advise you to increase your strength through cultivation. Don't use such unorthodox methods unless you have no other choice. I understand. Lin Yi nodded. You're right. Only by increasing your strength is true strength. It's fine to use these methods when you have no other choice, but if you keep using them, you'll be harming yourself and others. It's good that you've thought it through. Jiao Yazi smiled and nodded. General Wei Wu, who was beside Lin Yi, was rapidly absorbing the energy from Lin Yi's body. It snuggled comfortably next to Lin Yi, enjoying the nourishment of the energy. Before this, General Wei Wu's heart almost exploded from fear. It was just reluctant to leave Lin Yi and wanted to be close to Lin Yi for the last time. However, it didn't expect that once it touched Lin Yi's body, the energy in General Wei Wu's body was uncontrollably absorbed by Lin Yi. Although General Wei Wu didn't know what was going on, it was instinctively afraid. Previously, it obtained an unknown energy from Lin Yi which made it extremely strong. Could kill a person with one kick. Now that the energy returned to Lin Yi's body, how could it not be afraid? However, General Wei Wu didn't think of struggling to escape. Although it was afraid, when it saw Lin Yi's inexplicably comfortable expression, it knew that what happened now was probably beneficial to Lin Yi. General Wei Wu was a loyal dog. Its life was saved by Lin Yi and its strength was given by Lin Yi. Therefore, if Lin Yi wanted to take it back, he could take it back anytime. General Wei Wu was afraid, but it didn't complain. Therefore, General Wei Wu persisted until the last bit of energy entered Lin Yi's body before it fainted. It didn't know if it could survive, but if Lin Yi could recover, he could protect Yao Yao and Shu. After some time, General Wei Wu woke up again. What surprised it was that the familiar energy that could increase its strength was continuously flowing into its body from Lin Yi's body. This was similar to the first time he received the energy, but this time, Lin Yi was lying down as if he was in a deep sleep. General Wei Wu subconsciously thought that it absorbed the energy that entered Lin Yi's body. It wanted to jump away, but it realized that it couldn't. Its body seemed to be glued to Lin Yi's body. General Wei Wu was shocked, but when it saw that Lin Yi's face was rosy and there was nothing wrong with him, it laid down quietly and accepted the energy that came from Lin Yi's body. After some time, General Wei Wu started to feel uncomfortable because it could clearly feel that the energy in its body was almost full, but the energy that came from Lin Yi's body was still flowing into its body. Boom. General Wei Wu was furious. It felt like it was going to explode from Lin Yi's energy. The next moment, it fainted beside Lin Yi, not knowing what was going on anymore. This time Lin Yi, who was in the jade space, was shocked. He didn't know how much energy General Wei Wu needed to recover, so he kept sending energy to it. As long as it could receive the energy, he would pour it in. In the end, he didn't control the amount and caused General Wei Wu to explode. Chapter 943. Run together because General Wei Wu leveled up. General Wei Wu, who was a golden class early phase dog, leveled up several times. It became a golden class late phase peak dog. Lin Yi's eyes widened in shock. Seriously? Just because he lost all his strength, he became a golden class late phase peak dog when he infused his energy into General Wei Wu's body again. It was even stronger than Lingshan? Are you kidding me? I can just casually create a dog with the strength of the peak of the golden class. How can those masters of the golden class endure this? However, Lin Yi didn't have time to think about it. He entered the training space once he knew that General Wei Wu was fine. He couldn't wait to recover his strength. Plus, General Wei Wu could level up after going through the process. But what about Lin Yi? It seemed like every time he leveled up, he would be injured or his energy would be sucked dry. Once all the energy entered his body, he would be able to break through the bottleneck of the next level. Lin Yi had never heard of this method of leveling up, but it was effective for him and General Wei Wu. Lin Yi entered the Jade Space and activated the Art of Dragon Mastery again. The energy entered Lin Yi's body again, but this time, it was all for Lin Yi's own use. Lin Yi could even feel the feeling of fullness when the energy filled up his meridians. It was extremely comfortable. When Peng Zhan returned to the villa, he saw Meng Yao and Yushu sitting on the sofa in the living room, spacing out. They weren't watching TV, nor were they doing anything else. They were just spacing out. Meng Yao Shu. Peng Zhan walked in. Did Lin Yi leave already? Peng Zhan thought that Lin Yi had left the villa, and his daughter and Shu were a little sad. They were spacing out on the sofa. Daddy, you're back? Meng Yao snapped out of her daze and looked up at Peng Zhan. And Daddy's back. Peng Zhan's heart ached as he looked at his tired daughter. He hadn't been able to give her a happy life. Although Meng Yao didn't lack anything in terms of material goods, he still owed her too much in terms of kinship. The child had lost her mother since she was young, and Peng Zhan had been busy with his career, so he didn't have time to take care of her. In the blink of an eye, she was already so big. Peng Zhan never really understood what his daughter's life was like. And so this time, Peng Zhan had made up his mind. No matter what, he would help his daughter find her own happiness. He would accompany his daughter to escape with Lin Yi. Daddy, Lin Yi didn't leave, he's in his room? Meng Yao didn't know how to explain as she didn't know why Lin Yi didn't leave and went back to his room all of a sudden. Oh? Little Yi didn't leave? Doesn't he have a train at 6 tonight? It's already 7, if he didn't leave he wouldn't be able to catch the train? Peng Zhan paused as he looked at his watch. I don't know, this is what happened. Meng Yao told her father about the weird things that happened before Lin Yi left. Yeah, it's weird, Shield Bro and General Wei Wu have been in the room for more than 4 hours, and they still haven't come out. I wonder what they're doing? Yushu added. What's Little Yi doing? Could it be that his injuries are acting up? Peng Zhan frowned. Otherwise, with Lin Yi's personality, normal things wouldn't affect his schedule. Yeah, I'm worried too. Meng Yao nodded, her face showing an anxious expression. General Wei Wu is very strong, but Lin Yi is a normal person now. I'm afraid that General Wei Wu will kick Lin Yi hard like before. It might injure Lin Yi badly. I see. Peng Zhan's face turned serious after hearing Meng Yao's analysis. If that was the case, then it was hard to say. Otherwise, why would Lin Yi suddenly change his mind and run into the room in a hurry before leaving? Will Shield Bro be in danger? Yushu panicked after hearing Meng Yao's words. Logically speaking, there shouldn't be any danger, otherwise Lin Yi would definitely tell us to do something. Meng Yao shook her head. He only told us not to disturb him, maybe he can heal himself? Then it seems like we can only wait for him here. Peng Zhan sighed. That's great, when Little Yi wakes up, we can leave together. Leave together? Meng Yao was slightly taken aback as she looked at her father, not understanding. Yeah, Daddy has decided to bring you and Little Yi back to his old home to seek refuge. Peng Zhan smiled. Return to his old home to seek refuge? Meng Yao was taken aback as she repeated, We're going back too? What about your company? You don't want it anymore? I don't want to go to school anymore? Yao Yao, Daddy has already made up his mind, so I won't hide it from you anymore. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. These few days, Daddy hasn't been having a good time either. Little Yi is injured, and after Daddy's enemies found out about it, they've come looking for me. Ah. Meng Yao was shocked. They got the news so quickly? What do they want from you? The first wave is from Yanjing's Xiao family. They're using the fact that you humiliated Xiao family's daughter-in-law, Go Huli, to ask me to give them 200 million as compensation, along with Peng Zhan Commercial Building and Peng Zhan Hotel. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. He was going to leave anyway and the company was about to be abandoned. There was no harm in telling Yao Yao. Go Huli. I understand. Is it because of me? Meng Yao's face was filled with guilt after hearing her father's words. Daddy, it's all my fault. Haha, it's not your fault. Xiao family is considered to be down and out among the noble houses, but a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. They wanted to come to Songshan and look for trouble. What happened to you was just an excuse. Why would Daddy blame you? Besides, Little Yi said that it's not our fault. Peng Zhan smiled, not caring at all. Chapter 944. Tailor-made. Meng Yao knew that it wasn't her and Shu's fault. This was just an excuse to make things difficult for the Xiao family. Without this excuse, perhaps the Xiao family could find other excuses. The second wave of people was Zhao Qibing's men. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. My grudge with Zhao Qibing has been going on for a long time. He sent people to kidnap you many times and even tried to kill you and Shu at the theme park. Little E suppressed him, but now that Little E is in trouble, he'll naturally retaliate. But his appetite isn't that big and he only asked for the real estate company under Peng Zhan Industries. Meng Yao nodded. How come she didn't know about Zhao Qibing? This person had a huge grudge with her family, with Lin Yi. She wouldn't believe it if he didn't come looking for her now. The third wave of people was from Yinjing's House Yu. Peng Zhan continued. House Yu. Who are they? Meng Yao felt that the name was familiar, but she didn't know where she heard of this family. House Yu once broke into your villa and injured General Wei Wu. Have you forgotten? Peng Zhan reminded. At that time, you were agitated and asked Little E to kill the murderer, but Little E showed mercy and let him live. Ah, then why didn't he thank Lin Yi? Why did he come looking for trouble? Meng Yao was reminded of Yu Kuan when her father reminded her. Yu Kuan's arrogant expression was still vivid in her mind. Thinking about it made Meng Yao feel uncomfortable. What's the point of reasoning with them? Peng Zhan sighed and shook his head. House Yu's conditions are even more ridiculous this time. Not only do they want you to marry into House Yu's family, but they also want Yu Kuan, who was injured by Little E, as a concubine, and all of Peng Zhan Industries' shares as dowry. Ah? What? Meng Yao stood up angrily. I'm not marrying into their family. Yeah, that's why we can't fight them, but we can hide from them. Peng Zhan smiled. That's why I'm going to escape with you and Little E. Meng Yao's heart skipped a beat when she heard her father's decision. Meng Yao couldn't help but curse inwardly. Her family was being pressured to this extent. What was there for her to be happy about? They were going to flee for their lives. But Meng Yao was still a little happy. How can they be so arrogant? Daddy, can't we call the police? Rationally, Meng Yao told herself that she couldn't leave. After all, Peng Zhan Industries was her father's blood, sweat, and tears. How could she just give it up like that? These noble houses. Many of their ways of doing things are outside of the laws. It's useless even if we call the police. They're only planning a crime, they haven't actually carried it out. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly. Plus, they might kill us to vent their anger if we anger them, and they might even use some illegal methods to rob us of our assets. Meng Yao was startled. She didn't know how powerful these noble houses were, but from her father's words she could roughly understand that even if these noble houses really did do something to her, they wouldn't be in any trouble. At most, they would have a scapegoat to take the blame. So, we can only flee for our lives. We'll have to give our assets to them eventually, but are you going to marry into House Yu? Peng Zhan asked. I don't want to. Meng Yao shook her head. How could she marry into House Yu? That's right, so we'll wait for Lin Yi to come out and then we'll leave Songshan together. We don't want anything here. Peng Zhan was a man who did big things. He left decisively, not even touching the company's money. He didn't want to alert his enemies and they wouldn't be able to escape. This way, no one would think that Peng Zhan would leave Songshan with Meng Yao without taking a single cent with him. All right. Meng Yao nodded, pleased with herself. Oh, bring me, I want to go too. Yushu didn't want to do it. Yao Yao was leaving with Shield Bro. What was the point of her staying here alone? Okay, I'll bring you. Meng Yao didn't want to be separated from Shu, so she nodded and agreed. Peng Zhan looked at Yushu wanting to say something, but didn't say anything in the end. It was her own choice and he couldn't interfere. Thinking of his father's words, Peng Zhan understood. It was House Chu who'd climbed up to Lin Yi, not Lin Yi who'd climbed up to House Chu. Jianghu waited for a whole day and didn't get any calls from Peng Zhan. He couldn't help but start panicking, cursing in his heart. What were Peng Zhan's enemies doing? Hurry up and continue pressuring Peng Zhan. If you don't pressure him and he doesn't get nervous, how can he ask for my help? Jianghu couldn't take it anymore, so he secretly sent a message to House Yu Shuaixing, saying that Peng Zhan was escaping and was secretly moving his assets. He asked him to go check it out. The reason why he didn't send the message to Xiao family and Zhao Qibing was because they only asked for money and assets from Peng Zhan. They hadn't touched Peng Zhan's bottom line yet. Peng Zhan would only think of resisting if someone wanted to touch Meng Yao. This was just a random excuse Jianghu came up with, and the goal was for House Yu to pressure Peng Zhan. But Jianghu didn't think that he'd be able to hit the nail on the head with his random words. Although Peng Zhan didn't move his assets, he was really planning to escape. In this critical period, House Yu would rather believe it than not. They were afraid that Peng Zhan would run away with the assets, and it would be troublesome to find him. This was a big country and he might even escape to a foreign country, making it even harder to find him. And so, House Yu decided to go to Pengzhan first thing in the morning. If Pengzhan didn't agree, they'd just rob him. Under the situation where House Chu didn't have any masters, wouldn't they be at their mercy? They'd just make him sign a share transfer agreement and bring Mingyao back to Yanjing's House Yu, and this trip would be worth it. What made House Yu feel regretful was that the power behind Lin Yi didn't show up these 2 days. Could it be that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him, and everything was just House Yu's guess? But this was even better. House Yu could deal with House Chu with even more impunity. After dealing with House Chu, Lin Yi's death was the only thing that awaited him. Lin Yi was just a normal person and killing him would be a piece of cake. With that thought, Yu Bide couldn't wait to kill Lin Yi to avenge his son. Chapter 945. He must stay. Third uncle, why don't the hidden power behind Lin Yi come out when House Chu's in this state? Are they giving up on Pengzhan? Yu Haitian asked Yu Bide, confused. This I'm not too sure. My analysis is that Lin Yi doesn't have any background at all, so I suggest that we go to Pengzhan's house later and kill Lin Yi. Yu Bide hated Lin Yi to the bone. He came here to avenge his son, but for the benefit of the house, he didn't dare to do it directly. But now, Pengzhan was forced into a corner, and the power behind Lin Yi hadn't come out yet. This proved that Lin Yi didn't have any power behind him. Killing Lin Yi is naturally good, but Lin Yi and Guan Shuamin's relationship seems to be quite good. If we kill Lin Yi, it means we're not giving Guan Shuamin face. That's not good, is it? After all, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company is in the limelight, and they've released many miraculous medicines. They'll be the target of the noble houses in the future. Yu Haitian analyzed, it doesn't matter how we step on House Chu, but when it comes to Lin Yi, it's better to be careful. So what if he's close to Guan Shuamin? Guan Shuamin didn't stand out to protect him, we can completely ignore this relationship. Yu Bide smiled coldly, when the time comes we'll kill him. Guan Shuamin won't be able to say anything. He won't cause trouble for House Yu, will he? I think it's better to discuss this with second uncle. Yu Haitian said carefully. Alright. I'll call second brother now and ask for his opinion. Yu Bide nodded. He could ignore Yu Haitian's suggestion, but he had to listen to his second brother's suggestion. His second brother was very rational, and he considered things from a comprehensive perspective. Yu Bide dialed Shuaixing's number and told him what had happened, telling him that he was going to House Chu tomorrow morning to kill Lin Yi while he was at it. No. Shuaixing shook his head after hearing Bide's words. Third brother, we shouldn't make a move against Lin Yi right now. What? Yu Bide was stunned and asked, if there is a force behind Lin Yi, why haven't they jumped out yet? Bide, you haven't thought things through thoroughly enough. Shuaixing said, it looks like Lin Yi has an unusual relationship with the Chu family on the surface, but that's just a personal relationship between Lin Yi and the Chu family. It doesn't mean that the power behind Lin Yi will help the Chu family. If Lin Yi only came out to gain experience, then he should be going back soon, and the Chu family might have been abandoned. Oh. Yu Bide paused, that makes sense, I was too reckless. Man, this Lin Yi, it's annoying just looking at him. There's no rush. If Lin Yi really doesn't have any power behind him, then he'll become a ghost under your hands sooner or later. But if he does, then we'll let him be for now. We'll make a decision after we investigate his background. Shuaixing said. Alright, I'll stomp House Chu to death first. Yu Bide said hatefully, putting all his anger on House Chu. Since he couldn't kill Lin Yi, then House Chu would be his punching bag. And that dog that caused his son's death, he'd kill it too. House Chu's villa. Chu Pengzhan looked at the clock in the living room anxiously. It was already 5 in the morning, and there was still no news from Lin Yi's room. He couldn't help but panic. Today was the deadline that Xiao family, Zhao Qibing and House Yu gave him. If Lin Yi didn't leave by this deadline, then he wouldn't be able to leave. House Xiao and House Yu were still manageable, but if House Yu came, Mengyao wouldn't be able to leave, would she? Daddy, what's wrong? Why do you look so anxious? Mengyao asked curiously as she looked at Pengzhan, who kept looking at the time. Today is the day that Xiao family, House Yu and Zhao Qibing agreed to meet. I'm afraid that they'll come after daybreak and then we won't be able to leave. Pengzhan sighed, but he didn't hide it. At a time like this, he had to let Mengyao be mentally prepared. Yao Yao, why don't you leave with Shu first? I'll stay here and Lily can guard here? Pengzhan said helplessly. Could it be that this was fate? Lil Yi was fine before, but something happened just before he left. However, Pengzhan didn't hate Lin Yi. He knew very well what would happen if he let his daughter leave first. House Yu might vent their anger on him and kill him directly. But how could Peng Zhan watch his daughter be taken away by House Yu? If his daughter was taken to House Yu as a concubine, she might commit suicide because of the humiliation. If his daughter died, how could he live alone? How would he have the face to see her again? Was he a qualified father if he couldn't even protect his own daughter? So, Peng Zhan would rather sacrifice himself than let anything happen to his daughter. No, I'm not leaving. Meng Yao shook her head. Yao Yao, listen to me, don't be stubborn. If you don't leave, House Yu will take you away forcefully. Daddy won't be able to do anything then. Peng Zhan frowned and said seriously, if Lil Yi sees this, he won't be able to do anything about it. But do you know what will happen if he stands out forcefully? You'll be harming Lil Yi. No. Meng Yao shook her head. Daddy, you're right. But think about it, if House Yu comes and they don't see me, who else will they vent their anger on other than you? You know, although I ordered Yu Kuan to be killed, the one who did it was Lin Yi. If House Yu doesn't see me, will they let you and Lin Yi go so easily? Peng Zhan had been thinking about himself and wanted to end this grudge with his own death, but after hearing his daughter's words, he suddenly remembered that Lin Yi was the one who injured Yu Kuan. If that was the case, House Yu wouldn't be able to see Yao Yao and they wouldn't let Lin Yi go. Chapter 946. Give me 10 billion. Okay. Peng Zhan nodded in agreement after seeing his daughter's determination. He understood his daughter's personality. She wouldn't change her mind once she made up her mind. But Shu, she's innocent. Shu, why don't you go back to your villa? No, if Yao Yao sis and Shield Bro die, then there's no point in me living. Yushu shook her head. Alright, you stay here then. Peng Zhan thought that even if Yushu stayed here, House Yu wouldn't dare to touch her. Yushu was from House Qin. Although House Qin had fallen, with Elder Qin retiring and Qin Yutian not doing much, House Qin was still an old noble house with influence in the military. As long as House Yu didn't want to fall out with them, they wouldn't dare to offend House Qin at this time. Time passed and it was 6:30 in the morning. There was still no news from Lin Yi's room. Peng Zhan couldn't take it anymore. He walked over and wanted to knock on the door, but he hesitated and put his ear on Lin Yi's door, trying to listen for any movement inside. But to Peng Zhan's disappointment, there was no movement from Lin Yi's room. Was Lin Yi healing himself? Peng Zhan didn't know, but he was sure that Lin Yi had something he hadn't finished yet, and it was something extremely important. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed in his room for so long, not only not coming out, but also without any news. It seemed that Lin Yi didn't have the time to explain. He rushed into the room and the only thing he left was, "Don't disturb him." So, Peng Zhan hesitated and didn't knock on the door. He returned to the sofa and sat down waiting for Lin Yi to come out on his own, but something unexpected happened. Bang! The door of the villa was kicked open by a huge force. Peng Zhan, Meng Yao and Yushu, who were sitting on the sofa, jumped in fright. Peng Zhan's heart tightened. What was supposed to happen had finally happened. He didn't know who came first, but it had to be Xiao family, Zhao Qibing or House Yu. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so arrogant as to barge in without even knocking. Peng Zhan had been prepared for this to happen, but he still felt that it was a little too early. It wasn't even 7 in the morning, and the enemy was already so impatient? What a bunch of greedy and impatient people. Peng Zhan, you've got guts, haven't you? I heard that you wanted to escape with your daughter? You really didn't go to the company and hid at your daughter's place. Yu Haitian sneered and said sarcastically, however, can the Monkey King escape from Buddha's 5-finger mountain? Yu Haitian and Yu Bide went to Peng Zhan's place first. Their hearts skipped a beat when they realized that Peng Zhan wasn't there. Did he really escape? They rushed to Ming Yao's place and saw that Peng Zhan's car was parked in front of the villa. Haitian and Yu Bide were even more certain that Peng Zhan was planning to escape with his daughter. Otherwise, why would he come to Ming Yao's place instead of waiting for them at the company in the morning? Peng Zhan's heart sank when he heard Haitian's voice. He didn't expect that the first to come would be the most troublesome House Yu. If it were Xiao family or Zhao Qibing's men, it would be easy to deal with them. As long as he gave them the property they wanted, there wouldn't be a problem. But House Yu didn't just want the property, they also wanted their daughter. If I wanted to escape, would I be sitting here waiting for you? Although Peng Zhan was panicking, he forced himself to be calm. If you wanted to leave, wouldn't you have left a long time ago? Cut the bullshit. What do you think of my condition? Yu Bide interrupted Peng Zhan and asked directly. I can give all the shares to House Yu for free, but I hope that House Yu can let my daughter go. Peng Zhan knew that he couldn't leave, so he made his last struggle. Let her go? What a joke. Yu Bide humphed coldly. When your daughter let that bastard Lin Yi kill my son, why didn't she think of letting him go? Didn't Lil E open one side of the net to save your son's life? Peng Zhan said, neither servile nor overbearing. Yeah, because my son didn't die, I let your daughter serve him as a concubine. I let her go too, otherwise I would have killed your daughter and let her marry my son. Yu Bide glared at Peng Zhan and said angrily. Mr. Yu, speaking of this, it was your son who barged into my daughter's villa without permission. Peng Zhan argued. This was the last moment, and he knew that reasoning with House Yu wouldn't work, but he had to fight for it. If House Yu really took Meng Yao away, then House Chu would be finished. What? You're saying that House Yu is at fault? You're saying that my son asked for it? Is that what you're saying? Do you dare to say that again? Yu Bide's face instantly revealed a sinister expression. I didn't say that, I just hope that you can let my daughter go, Mr. Yu. Meng Yao sighed and said. If you're willing to let my daughter go, I'll agree to whatever you ask for. Alright, give House Yu 10 billion and I'll let your daughter go. How's that? Fair, right? I'll buy my life with money. Yu Bide laughed. Peng Zhan's face turned red. House Yu's conditions were unreasonable. 10 billion, where was he going to get 10 billion for him? Wasn't he purposely making things difficult for him? What's wrong, Mr. Chu, you don't want to buy your life with money? Yu Bide sneered. If that's the case, then don't say that I didn't give you a chance. Peng Zhan took in a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. He couldn't get angry. Peng Zhan reminded himself that this wasn't the time to go against House Yu. He had to hold it in, Mr. Yu, 10 billion, aren't you forcing me? Peng Zhan asked in a low voice. What, Peng Zhan, do you think your daughter isn't worth 10 billion? Yu Bide asked. Chapter 947. Recovery. Breakthrough. Don't blame me for not giving you a chance if you can't, Yu Bide said coldly. Which one of them is your daughter? Are they pretty? They're perfect as my son's concubine. Mr. Yu, please leave some leeway when you do things, don't push things too far. There's a saying that things will go in the opposite direction when pushed to the extreme, I wonder if you've heard of it? Peng Zhan had no other choice but to threaten him. Yu Bide looked at Peng Zhan with interest and laughed. So, you're threatening me? I wouldn't dare. Peng Zhan was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He could only compromise. I'm just saying something that hasn't changed since ancient times. Reasoning with me? Asian, did you hear that? He's reasoning with me? Ah. Yu Bide laughed without restraint. He said to leave some leeway when I do things, don't push things too far, did you hear that? Third uncle, I heard that. Haitian nodded with a smile. Do you think it's funny? Yu Bide mocked. Funny, this is too funny. Yu Haitian also laughed out loud. Yu Bide changed the topic and looked at Peng Zhan coldly. I don't leave any leeway when I do things. I'm going to push things too far, what can you do? What do you want? What do you want? Stare at me? Are you going to explode? Ah. Yu Bide looked at Peng Zhan's helpless face and felt a sense of satisfaction, as if he had vented his anger. If it wasn't for Shuaixing stopping him from killing Lin Yi, he would have killed Peng Zhan first before going after Lin Yi. The pleasure brought by humiliating others made Yu Bide feel great. Peng Zhan's face turned purple. House Yu didn't listen to reason at all. There was no logic to speak of. Peng Zhan's chest heaved up and down, he was so angry that he couldn't speak. In Lin Yi's room in the jade pendant, Lin Yi's face couldn't help but show some anxiety. Although Lin Yi's body was in the jade pendant, his whole body was awake. Whatever happened outside, Lin Yi heard it clearly. Lin Yi also heard the conversation between Peng Zhan and Meng Yao in the living room. Peng Zhan's words touched Lin Yi a lot, and the Miss and Shu following him touched him as well. Lin Yi didn't think that Peng Zhan's situation had reached this point. The Xiao family and Zhao Qibing's men had come to his doorstep, even House Yu's men. Moreover, House Yu even wanted to take Miss away as a concubine. They really dared to dream. Although Miss wasn't Lin Yi's woman, Peng Zhan's attitude made Lin Yi feel that taking care of Miss was his responsibility. Even if he took 10,000 steps back, he was still Miss's bodyguard. How could he let House Chu take Miss away? Alright, since you guys are so arrogant, then each and every one of you will pay the price for your arrogance. However, Lin Yi was very anxious. His strength hadn't recovered yet, and Lin Yi really couldn't stand up for Miss right now. Hurry up a little more. Lin Yi was in the jade pendant space, absorbing the energy crazily. Hearing that House Yu was closing in, Lin Yi wanted to rush out right now, but Lin Yi knew that it wasn't enough yet. The moment he went out, it would be the death of these people. So, recovering his strength was very important. Lin Yi gritted his teeth. The energy in the jade pendant space surged into his body, and as Lin Yi's art of dragon mastery circulated faster and faster, the energy became stronger and stronger. Lin Yi's eyes opened abruptly. The energy in his body had reached its saturation state before his strength dropped. Finally recovered. His strength was finally back. However, Lin Yi didn't stop the circulation of the art of dragon mastery. Lin Yi knew that according to his past experience, every time he lost his strength, he could absorb some energy into his body after he recovered, and it was very likely that his strength would break through. But if he stopped and practiced again, there wouldn't be such an effect. So, Lin Yi continued to absorb the energy in the jade pendant space because Lin Yi could clearly feel that although his body was saturated with energy, he could still absorb it. The energy around Lin Yi was getting more and more, and the energy around Lin Yi was fluctuating rapidly as Lin Yi absorbed more and more energy, forming a whirlpool around Lin Yi. On Lin Yi's face an expression of extreme pain appeared. He felt that his body was about to explode, and the energy in his body was reaching its limit. If he didn't release it soon, he'd explode like a balloon. But Lin Yi didn't stop the circulation of the art of dragon mastery. Instead, he gritted his teeth and increased the speed of his cultivation. The energy around Lin Yi was mobilized again, and it quickly rushed into Lin Yi's body, and the energy in Lin Yi's body rose to a new height. As the energy in his body gathered more and more, Lin Yi's face showed a strange flush, and it looked a little strange through the energy whirlpool. Soon, really soon. Lin Yi snorted, "Let the storm come fiercer." Boom. With a loud bang, Lin Yi felt like his whole body was about to fly into the sky. Under the huge impact of the energy in his body, the barrier between levels collapsed at this moment. Instantly, more energy rushed into Lin Yi's body, but this time, it didn't feel like he was about to burst his limit, but instead, there was a very comfortable, nourishing feeling, breakthrough. After the breakthrough, Lin Yi's meridians could absorb more energy. The energy whirlpool around Lin Yi was getting weaker and weaker, and most of it was absorbed by Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi's face turned from red to healthy, and Lin Yi jumped up from his bed. Was this the power of the middle phase of the Mystic Division? As expected, it was a world of difference from the peak of the early phase of the Mystic Division. No wonder it was so difficult for him to defeat a physical master who was at the peak of the middle phase of the Mystic Division. Sometimes, the difference of one level was the difference between victory and defeat. Who? Lin Yi let out a breath and patted General Wei Wu. "It's time, General Wei Wu, this time, we will be the main characters." Woof woof. General Wei Wu, who was in a coma, seemed to feel the powerful and majestic aura from Lin Yi, and it woke up. It barked at Lin Yi happily. Chapter 948. Two choices, double payback. Although it was only one level, Lin Yi was already satisfied. One had to know that the higher the level, the harder it was to break through. Some people couldn't even take a step forward in their entire life. And Lin Yi wasn't even 20 years old, and he already had the strength of a mystic mid-phase. This was unimaginable among the noble houses and hidden houses. In the villa's living room, Peng Zhan looked at the tyrannical Yu Bide sadly. Although he knew that there was no way to reason with House Yu, anyone would want to try their luck. Now that it seemed like there was no other way, Peng Zhan could only smile bitterly. "Yu Bide, you've gone too far. The heavens are watching what you do. Sooner or later, this revenge will fall on your House Yu's head." "I'll be waiting for that day. Let me see where the revenge is." Yu Bide didn't care about Peng Zhan's words at all. This world was a world where the strong lived. The weak were prey to the strong. This was an unchanging rule. He laughed and turned to Meng Yao and Yushu. "Which one of you is Meng Yao? You can come with me now." Meng Yao took a deep breath and stood up slowly. Her eyes showed determination. "I am." "Good, then you can come with me now." Yu Bide nodded. He was quite satisfied with Yushu as well. He couldn't help but ask regretfully, "Who are you?" "She's from House Qin. If you dare to touch her, you can bring her back too." Meng Yao looked at Yu Bide mockingly and said faintly, "House Qin." Yu Bide's expression froze. He suddenly remembered that the granddaughter of House Qin, Yushu, and Peng Zhan's daughter were good friends. Although House Qin had fallen, it was still one of the noble houses. Yu Bide didn't dare to provoke them. He laughed. "House Qin and House Yu have no grudges. Why would I want to capture her? I want to capture you. If you're not afraid that I'll kill your son, then bring me back." Meng Yao raised her head and looked at Yu Bide as if she was facing death. Yes, Meng Yao was stalling for time. Just now, Shu secretly hinted to her to stall for time and wait for Shield Bro. Although Meng Yao didn't know why Yushu was so confident all of a sudden, she still did as she was told. Shu may be crazy, but Meng Yao had to admit that a lot of the words that came out of her mouth turned into reality. It was not an exaggeration to call her Prophet Shu. In fact, Yushu didn't know why she was so confident in Shield Bro, But the two barks reminded her of the day Lin Yi brought General Wei Wu to the room for treatment after he was injured. When General Wei Wu recovered and Lin Yi walked out of the room, Yushu also heard two excited barks from General Wei Wu. It was a happy barking just like today. How dare you? Yu Bai's face turned ugly after hearing Mingyao's words. Do you believe that I'll kill your entire family right now? I don't believe you. A faint voice rang out. Although it was not loud, it was filled with confidence. Was Lin Yi? Mingyao turned her head in disbelief, and saw Lin Yi walk out of the room, a faint smile on his face that made her want to beat him up. At his feet was General Wei Wu, full of vigor and vigor. Peng Zhan was shocked as well. He didn't think that Lin Yi would walk out of the room at this time, and to stand up for his daughter. Could he deal with Haoxiu? Peng Zhan was afraid that Haoxiu would harm Lin Yi in a fit of rage. Yushu, on the other hand, was very excited. She felt that her prophecy was successful again. Lin Yi? You still dare to come out? I thought you ran away. Yu Bai didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. From his point of view, if he didn't look for trouble with Lin Yi would already be burning incense. How dare Lin Yi take the initiative to come out? Did he really think that Haoxiu wouldn't dare to kill him? Haoxiu, I heard that you want all of Uncle Chu's Peng Zhan Industries shares? Lin Yi ignored Yu Bai's sarcasm and asked indifferently. So what if I am? You have a problem with that? Yu Bai asked coldly. Oh, I have a part of Uncle Chu's shares. You didn't even ask me before you took it? Lin Yi's tone was still calm, but it was full of accusation. You still want to forcefully bring Yao Yao to Haoxiu to be a concubine? Are you out of your mind? Lin Yi, do you want to die? Yu Bai's eyes burned with fire. He couldn't take it anymore. Although his second brother advised him not to act recklessly against Lin Yi, at this moment he only wanted to kill Lin Yi. Even if the power behind Lin Yi came out to punish him, it was Lin Yi's own fault for being a busybody. What did it have to do with him? You don't have to care whether I die or not. Lin Yi looked at Yu Bai with disdain, but I know that you are going to die soon. Now I'll give you two choices. The first choice is to give me all of Haoxiu's shares and some shares of other businesses. Then I'll have two girls from Haoxiu come over to be my concubines. The second choice, you die. Yu Bai was amused by Lin Yi's words. He didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to say something like this. Who did he think he was? Even if he had other powers behind him, he was just a useless person. A useless person saying something like this. Wasn't he tired of living? Oh shill bro, you're awesome. I'm the concubine now, I can have a concubine to order around. Yushu shouted excitedly. Mengyao couldn't help but smile as well. Lin Yi's conditions were basically giving back double of what Haoxiu had asked for. She didn't know where Lin Yi got his confidence from. Could it be that he recovered his strength? But when Mingyao saw the confident smile on Lin Yi's face, she felt relieved. It's over, it's finally over, isn't it? Everything will be fine. Peng Zhan was surprised as well. He wasn't stupid. He noticed that something was amiss. Lin Yi became stronger. Extremely stronger. Only the idiot Yu Bai didn't realize why Lin Yi became so strong. Hatred filled his mind. He smiled coldly. Aren't you afraid of losing your tongue? Give you Haoxiu's businesses? And two? Are you dreaming? Let the girls from Haoxiu be your concubine? What are you thinking? Are you retarded? I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. Lin Yi ignored Yu Bai's sarcasm. The countdown starts. 3-2. Chapter 949. Killed by a dog. Bang. Before Yu Bai could count to 2.6, he flew backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell heavily from the broken door of the mansion and landed in the yard of the mansion. Everyone was shocked. Yu Haitian looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Lin Yi sent Yu Bai flying with one palm? How was that possible? Didn't Lin Yi lose his strength? Wasn't he a cripple? Yu Bai's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Lin Yi's strength didn't disappear? How was that possible? Plus, he was an early phase mystic class master and he couldn't even take one hit from Lin Yi? Lin Yi was only a peak early phase mystic class master. Even if he was half a level higher than him, it shouldn't be this bad, right? I was too careless, I must have been too careless. Yu Bai felt sad. Fuck, he was tricked by this bastard Lin Yi. He didn't lose his strength at all, he was pretending to be weak. He confused me and attacked me when I wasn't paying attention. That's why I was heavily injured. Early phase mystic class? Haoxiu doesn't have any masters. The son is useless and the father is useless. Lin Yi waved his hand, a hint of disdain on his face. Can you consider my conditions now? Die or give me 2 properties and 2 concubines from Haoxiu. Kill me if you have the guts. Yu Bai was pissed off by Lin Yi's words. Although Lin Yi was pretending to be weak, Yu Bai didn't think that Lin Yi would really kill him. He thought that Lin Yi wouldn't dare. General Wei Wu, it was his son who almost killed you. Go get revenge on his father now. Lin Yi ordered General Wei Wu calmly, go, kill him. Woof woof. General Wei Wu wanted to test its strength. How could it let go of such a good opportunity to take revenge? She jumped up from Lin Yi's side and came to Yu Bai's side. Yu Bai gritted his teeth in anger. He didn't dare to kill Lin Yi. First, he wasn't sure of Lin Yi's background. Second, he wasn't a match for Lin Yi at all. He was very depressed, but at this moment, Lin Yi actually sent a dog to disgust him. Yu Bai was instantly enraged and was ready to vent his anger on this dog. Since his son's injury was caused by this dog, he would use this dog's blood to avenge his son. Yu Bai believed that if he killed a dog, Lin Yi and the forces behind him wouldn't say anything. Therefore Yu Bai had this mentality. When General Wei Wu ran over, he suddenly raised his palm and slapped it. Although Yu Bai was heavily injured, he felt that he only needed a little bit of strength to kill a dog. However, just as Yu Bai slapped, General Wei Wu also jumped up and kicked Yu Bai's palm with its hind legs. Yu Bai's body flew out once again directly outside the mansion. Yu Bai's body landed heavily on the ground. He twitched a few times and then stopped moving. Therefore, an early phase Mystic Class Master died under the claws of General Wei Wu, who was at the peak of the late phase of Golden Class. With General Wei Wu's spiritual strength at the peak of the late phase of Golden Class, killing a severely injured early phase Mystic Class Master wasn't a problem. Third uncle. Yu Haitian didn't expect Lin Yi to attack just like that. He didn't leave any leeway and let a dog kill Yu Bai in the end. His face immediately revealed a look of fear and horror. Yu Haitian wasn't a martial artist and didn't know any martial arts. At this moment he was so scared that he didn't dare to say anything disrespectful to Lin Yi. He quickly ran out of the mansion and came to Yu Bai's side. He reached out his hand to feel Yu Bai's breath. Gone. Yu Bai was dead. Yu Haitian was even more scared. This Lin Yi even dared to kill Yu Bai, let alone Yu Haitian. Looking at Lin Yi, who followed him out of the mansion, Yu Haitian turned pale. You? What are you doing? I'm just a follower, I came with third uncle. He's the one in charge. I know you're just a small fry. Lin Yi said faintly, go back and tell Yu Shuaixing that he owes me 2 business shares and 2 concubines. I Lin Yi always keep my words. Tell him to be prepared. But, you already killed third uncle. Yu Haitian didn't expect that Lin Yi would continue to bring up such terrifying conditions after killing Yu Bai. The dog killed him, not me. Lin Yi said faintly, plus I'm talking about killing your entire family, not just him. Alright, I'll bring these words to him. Yu Haitian nodded sorrowfully. Before they were the stronger side, but in the blink of an eye, he had to run away with his uncle's corpse. Oh, then why are you still standing here? You can leave now, don't delay me from dealing with the Shao family. Lin Yi waved his hand impatiently. Yu Haitian clenched his teeth and carried his uncle's corpse. He quickly got into an SUV in front of the mansion, started the car, and left the mansion. As he drove, Yu Haitian dialed Yanjing's house Yu's number. Through Yu Feng he found Yu Shuaixing. Yu Haitian cried out, second uncle, bad news, third uncle was killed. What did you say? Who was killed? Yu Shuaixing paused, not understanding Yu Haitian's words. Third uncle. Third uncle was beaten to death. Yu Haitian repeated himself. What? He's dead? How did he die? Who killed him? Yu Shuaixing's face paled when he heard Yu Haitian's words, and even his tone changed. Yes, third uncle is dead. He was beaten to death by a dog. Yu Haitian felt that something was off. Wah. Yu Shuaixing thought that he'd heard wrong. What did you say? Who killed him? Dog. Yu Haitian smiled bitterly. Dog? You're saying that Bide was killed by a dog? Are you kidding me? Haitian, are you kidding me? It's not April Fool's today, is it? Yu Shuaixing asked in disbelief. After all, this was too unbelievable. His third brother was a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner. How could he be killed by a dog? Second uncle, I'm not mistaken. Third uncle really was killed by a dog. Yu Haitian sweated as he recalled the scene. Chapter 951. House Yu shocked. Yes, uncle, it's the kind of dog that barks. Haitian explained, sweating profusely. Are you serious? Killed by a dog? Shuaixing felt that Haitian's words were a little unbelievable. A mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner was killed by a dog? Second uncle, how would I dare to joke about such an important matter? Haitian said, sweating profusely. He was killed by the dog called General Wei Wu by Lin Yi's side. Wasn't that dog killed by Yu Kuan? Shuaixing paused. It didn't die. The dog was pretty smart. Linny told it that the father pays the son's debts, so the dog killed uncle. Haitian said, "Your uncle is a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner. Even a normal person wouldn't be able to kill him that easily, let alone a dog." Shueishing didn't understand. Even if the dog had a high IQ and knew how to get revenge on Ubaid, it still needed the ability to do so. "Yes, second uncle. I think that dog is not an ordinary dog. Although I am not a cultivator, the powerful aura that came from the dog's body indicates that it is not an ordinary dog." Yu Haitian said with some lingering fear. "So you guys went to cause trouble for Pengzhan today, and then that General Weiwu came out and killed Ubaid?" Shueishing finally had an idea, but he still didn't believe that a dog could be that strong. "No, Uncle Linny wasn't injured at all, and his strength didn't drop." Haitian said fearfully, "He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's been so many days and there's no news from him at all. Just when third uncle and I were about to go and take Pengzhan's daughter away by force, Linny suddenly showed up and sent third uncle flying with one palm. That General Weiwu rushed over and gave him a kick, and third uncle died just like that. Linny wasn't injured? His strength didn't drop? A dog is a practitioner?" This series of news exploded in Shueishing's ears, and he didn't know what to do. What was going on? Hadn't they already investigated it? Linny was heavily injured and didn't have any strength at all. How did he suddenly recover and his strength wasn't affected at all? Was he pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Did he purposely create the illusion of being injured to lure the enemy over? No. Shueishing frowned. It was possible that Linny was a wolf in sheep's clothing, but that dog couldn't possibly do that. Yu Kuan had already said that he killed the dog, and its internal organs were all destroyed. Even if he could save it, it would be a cripple. How was it possible that it became a training dog? Shueishing thought of a terrifying possibility. Linny had been injured before, but now he'd recovered, and not only that, he'd become even stronger. It was the same for that dog. It was already injured beyond repair, but now it had actually become a cultivation dog. What kind of great power was behind Linny? Even the hidden houses didn't have this kind of power, right? Not only did he manage to save the lives of a severely injured man and a dying dog, he even gave them more powerful strength. How many heavenly materials and earthly treasures were used, and how many experts were guarding it to achieve such an effect? Shueishing realized that he'd made a huge mistake. He shouldn't have gone to Songshan to join in the fun. The Shao family wanted to die, then let them be. He could just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Why did he have to get involved? However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. After hearing that his third brother was killed, Shueishing really wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Linny knew how powerful House Yu was, and yet he dared to kill Ubaid. There were only two possibilities. One was that he was rash, and the other was that Linny had something to rely on. He wasn't afraid of House Yu, or rather, the power behind him wasn't afraid of House Yu. Of course, Shueishing was leaning towards the latter. According to Yu Kuan, Linny wanted to kill him, and it was Li Fu who spoke up that made Linny go easy on him. The first time was fine, but was it possible for him to be rash again? Plus, Linny had been holding back for so many days, waiting for House Yu to mess with him before killing him at the last moment. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to make an example out of him? Haitian, tell me everything that happened in detail. Don't miss out on any details. Shueishing took a deep breath and asked. Yes, uncle, this is what happened. Haitian recounted everything that happened, including what he said to his third uncle as well as Pengzhan's reaction. In the end, he didn't forget to tell Shueishing about Lin Yi's arrogant demands. This Lin Yi? How arrogant! How dare he threaten House Yu? Shueishing was furious after hearing what Lin Yi had Haitian tell him, but his heart was filled with suspicions. What gave Lin Yi the guts to say something like that? From Pengzhan's reaction, it seemed like he didn't know that Lin Yi's strength had recovered. This meant that Pengzhan might have been tricked by Lin Yi as well. The kid was pretending to be weak and he didn't tell anyone about his recovery, all for this final burst of power. Scary. What a scary thought process. Shueishing sighed. If Lin Yi was as he guessed, then what was his real goal? Was it against House Yu, Shao family, or Zhao Qibing? Perhaps, in his eyes, these people were just pawns and he had a deeper purpose? Yes, uncle, what do we do now? Haitian asked carefully. Bring your uncle's body back to Yanjing immediately, don't bother with what's going on over there. Shueishing was scared, truly scared. House Yu had been running amok for so many years, and no one dared to disrespect them, let alone kill them. But Lin Yi was completely unrestrained, killing one of the core members of House Yu and injuring the other, and he even wanted the shares of House Yu's businesses. What's more, he wanted the two girls of House Yu to be his concubines. Was he dreaming or did he really have the strength to do that? But no matter what, Shueishing was starting to regret it. For a few map fragments, he'd made such a terrifying enemy. This wasn't House Yu's fortune. Chapter 952. Here comes another one. If Lin Yi didn't have a background, then Shueishing would kill him himself. If he did, then Shueishing would demand justice for his brother and nephew. Even if he had to take the case to the noble house arbitration, he'd sue Lin Yi for going too far. But Shueishing had never once considered whether he'd gone too far when he'd sent people to make things difficult for House Chu. Many people would only think about other people's mistakes but never their own. Hatred had clouded Shueishing's rationality. He didn't think that his family did anything wrong, and that it was all Lin Yi's fault. But no matter what, Shueishing chose to endure it. He was filled with hatred, but he wouldn't act rashly anymore. Yu? Pengzhan was surprised and overjoyed when he saw House Yu running away. He truly didn't think that at the most critical moment for House Chu, when they were about to be destroyed, Lin Yi would turn the situation around in an instant. The arrogant man who wanted to kill his family was killed by Lin Yi, by General Wei Wu. At the thought, Pengzhan's face turned weird. Since when did General Wei Wu become so strong? He could kill a mystic early-phase spiritual practitioner with one kick? Even if Yu Bide was heavily injured by Lin Yi, he couldn't have been killed by a dog so easily, could he? Could it be that Lin Yi had trained or modified General Wei Wu? Sorry I came out late. Lin Yi smiled, but luckily I made it in time, otherwise I might have had to go to Yanjing if Yao Yao was captured. Who asked you to go? I wouldn't have come back myself. Meng Yao blushed. She felt a very sweet feeling in her heart, but on the outside she didn't seem to care. Didn't you say you lost your strength? How did you become so strong all of a sudden? Oh, it's a long story. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. It was a coincidence, I guess. General Wei Wu helped me recover my strength. General Wei Wu? Helped you regain your strength? Pengzhan looked at Lin Yi, surprised. Does that mean you don't need to go back home? This? Only then did Lin Yi remember the issue of returning to his hometown. Previously, he was immersed in the joy of recovering his strength and forgot that he was preparing to return to his hometown. But since Pengzhan had already resigned, Lin Yi couldn't stay any longer. I'll go back after dealing with these problems. Pengzhan didn't say anything, but the Miss face changed. She opened her mouth wanting to say something but didn't know what to say. She kicked Shu subconsciously. Oh shield bro, you're breaking your promise. Yushu spoke up immediately after Ming Yao's signal. Oh. Lin Yi couldn't help but be stunned. How did I go back on my word? We hooked our pinkies before, and you said that if you recovered and became stronger than before, you'd come back to be our bodyguard and stay in the villa forever. Yushu said confidently. Wah. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly after hearing Yushu's words. Only now did he realize that he had fallen into Yushu's trap. What Yushu said before wasn't out of her own feelings, it was probably premeditated by this girl. Otherwise, why would she say it out so easily? Lin Yi didn't think too much about it at that time. He just casually said a few words to brush off Yushu, but he didn't expect that he would be trapped by that one sentence. Was he going to stay in the villa forever? Haha, I was about to say something to make you stay, but since Shu and Yi have reached an agreement, it seems like my words are unnecessary. I don't need to say anything anymore. Pengzhan laughed. All right. Lin Yi nodded. There was still some time before the 5-year deadline, so Lin Yi wasn't in a rush to go back home. But he didn't know if Tang Yun would be happy when she found out. Oh, Prophet Shu is amazing, la la la. Yushu shouted excitedly. Meng Yao was happy as well, but she didn't show it as obviously as Yushu. She only smiled and said, Lin Yi, then I'll have to trouble you from now on. Lin Yi was just about to tease the miss when footsteps came from the villa's courtyard again. Another one coming to die? Lin Yi's lips curled into a cold smile. That's good, saves me the trouble of going to them. Xiao family also received news from Jianghu today, saying that Pengzhan was planning to escape with Meng Yao, and that the company's shares and properties had been secretly transferred out. This made the Xiao family furious. This was also because Jianghu was afraid that one House Yu wouldn't be enough pressure for Pengzhan, so he contacted the Xiao family and told them to pressure Pengzhan as well. It would be best if Pengzhan was forced into a corner. Jianghu appearing at this time would be like a savior, and he wouldn't have to worry about Pengzhan not agreeing to his terms. And so, Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben along with Uncle Pai, went to Pengzhan's company after receiving the call, only to find that Pengzhan wasn't there. It took them a while to get back to Ming Yao's villa, only to see Pengzhan's car. On the way, Xiao Ji called Huli and told her to come to Ming Yao's house as well. After all, this was caused by Huli, and it would be good for her to see Pingzhan's family in such a miserable state. It would be a good way for her to vent her anger. In fact, Xiaoji really liked this second wife of his. After all, Huli's skills in bed were amazing, and Xiaoji felt like dying every day. He didn't forget to bring Huli along when he came to Pingzhan's place to vent his anger. Huli was having her beauty treatment outside when she heard that her husband had brought Uncle Pai and his brother-in-law to cause trouble for Pingzhan. She couldn't be bothered with the treatment any longer. She washed her face and drove her Ferrari home in a hurry. What happened to Pingzhan's house? Why's the door like this? Xiaoji looked at Mingyao's villa curiously. Why did the door look like it was kicked to pieces? Could it be that someone is a step ahead of us and is looking for trouble? Xiao Ben frowned. Even House Yu was here, and the Xiao family naturally knew about it as well. They also found out about House Yu's conditions. House Yu wanted all of Pingzhan Industries' shares, and didn't that include Pingzhan's business building and hotel? Chapter 953. Don't pretend. That's impossible, right? If House Yu comes, wouldn't we have wasted our efforts? Xiaoji was getting a little pissed at the thought. He strode into the villa yelling as he walked, "Where's Pingzhan? Get out here right now." However, no one in the villa responded. "Damn it, is there anyone? Pingzhan, you old bastard, are you there or not?" Xiaoji was panicking. If Pingzhan wasn't here or if he was killed, then who would the Xiao family ask for money from? However, she did not answer him this time. Xiaoji and Xiao Ben couldn't wait to enter the villa, only to see Pingzhan, Mengyao and even Lin Yi there. The few of them stood in the living room of the villa, looking at Xiaoji and the others with a strange expression. "What are you looking at? Damn it, why aren't you answering when I'm talking to you? Are you deaf or scared, silly?" Xiaoji felt that Pingzhan and the others were acting a little weird, but he didn't think too much about it. He was here for money and property after all. How could he get it if he wasn't a little more forceful? "Mr. Xiao, I don't know why you're making such a fuss in my daughter's villa." Pingzhan was emboldened. He knew that Lin Yi had recovered his strength, so he wasn't as afraid as before. "What can I do for you?" "Fuck you, Pingzhan, don't play dumb with me. Have you thought about the conditions I gave you last time? 200 million yuan of startup capital, property rights of Pingzhan Commercial Building and Pingzhan Business Hotel." Xiaoji was a very uncouth person, and he felt a sense of superiority in front of Pingzhan. As a result, cursing and swearing was very pleasurable for him, especially when he saw Pingzhan's expression of anger but not daring to speak up. It gave Xiaoji a great sense of satisfaction. "Mr. Xiao, you are also a descendant of an aristocratic family. How can you speak so uncivilly?" Pingzhan looked at Xiaoji mockingly. He felt as if he had vented his frustration. This was the first time he didn't have to look at Xiaoji's face. "Fuck, do I need you to teach me how to speak? If you don't want to die, don't talk nonsense. Are you out of your mind?" Xiaoji didn't want to waste any more time with Pingzhan as he reached out his hand. "Are you going to give us 200 million? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoji and asked calmly. "Give it to your mother." Xiaoji couldn't help but glare at Lin Yi. "Who the hell are you?" "I'm Lin Yi, don't you know me?" Lin Yi ignored Xiaoji's insults and explained in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing. "Lin Yi? Aha, I know you are that useless trash without strength. You still dare to come out and join the fun?" When Xiaoji heard Lin Yi's name, the expression on his face instantly became incomparably wonderful. He immediately convulsed with laughter. Xiao Ben suddenly felt that something was wrong. He was more meticulous than his brother Xiaoji, and was the smartest person in the Xiao family. When he saw Lin Yi appear and Pingzhan's expression, there was no fear or anger on his face, only calmness. His heart skipped a beat. No, something was definitely wrong. Xiao Ben frowned and pulled Xiaoji back, stopping him from continuing. He carefully probed, "Pingzhan, did someone come here earlier?" "Yes." Pingzhan smiled inwardly. This Xiao Ben wasn't an idiot, only realizing that something was wrong now, but it was already too late. Pingzhan knew Lin Yi's personality very well. If the Xiao family had cried and begged for mercy as soon as they came in, and given Lin Yi some conditions, perhaps Lin Yi would let them go. But now that Xiaoji had completely offended Lin Yi, would Lin Yi still let them go? "Is it House Yu?" Xiao Ben's face was a little ugly. As far as he was concerned, House Yu must have come and made some sort of agreement with Pingzhan. That was why Pingzhan was so fearless. Even the crippled Lin Yi jumped out. "Yes." Pingzhan nodded. "What did House Yu give you?" Xiao Ben's face darkened. If House Yu was really involved in this, then things wouldn't be good. "House Yu gave me the shares of House Yu's auction house and another business, along with 2 House Yu girls as concubines." Lin Yi looked at Xiao Ben and said faintly, "Now it's your Xiao family's turn." I heard that you asked for 200 million? You also asked for the property rights of Pingzhan Business Tower and Pingzhan Business Hotel? Very well, give me 400 million and the property rights of the 4 businesses and you can get lost. What? Xiaoben froze, not really understanding what Lin Yi was saying. If House Yu came and asked for benefits, then at the same time, they had secretly agreed to some of Pingzhan's conditions, which would make Pingzhan calm down again. After all, Xiaoben had heard that House Yu wanted Pingzhan's daughter, Mengyao, to be a concubine, and Pingzhan would be House Yu's father-in-law, so he had the right to be calm. But now it didn't seem to be the case. Lin Yi's words made Xiaoben feel strange. From Lin Yi's words, it seemed like House Yu had suffered a loss here, and they had no choice but to agree to some conditions? If House Yu and Pingzhan were really on good terms, then would Lin Yi still be able to say such outrageous things? However, Xiaoben only froze for a moment and he had an idea. If Lin Yi didn't say such a messy and serious thing, Xiaoben might be afraid, suspicious, and think that Pingzhan had gotten help from House Yu. But with Lin Yi's words, Xiaoben was relieved. House Yu was a powerful existence after all. They were the #1 noble house among all the noble houses. How could House Yu compensate Pingzhan with the shares of House Yu's auction house and another business? As for House Yu sending 2 girls to be Lin Yi's concubines, that was even more impossible. How noble were the girls of House Yu? Even if they were to marry, they would choose another noble house, and they had to be the legal wife. Why would they be someone's concubine? And so, Xiaoben naturally thought that he had guessed the truth behind Pingzhan's calmness. They must be faking it. Before he came, they had already discussed it, pretending to be so calm, making him think that they had something to rely on, using this to scare him away. Indeed, Pingzhan's expression did scare Xiaoben, but their mistake was to let Lin Yi jump out and say something that seemed so powerful and scary. Lin Yi's words were a little too overboard. Although it was powerful, if it was too powerful, then he would be an idiot. Chapter 954. Chapter 952, a strange scene here. Uncle Pai walked out coldly and looked at Pingzhan. Pingzhan, this old man doesn't want to kill anyone, so I hope you can make the right choice. Wei Zhizuan was barely alive in my hands, but you're too weak. Oh? I heard that you were the one who hit Wei Zhizuan, heavily injuring him? Lin Yi turned to Uncle Pai. That's right, it was me. Do you want to try? Uncle Pai nodded proudly. Oh, I'd have forgotten if you hadn't reminded me. Everything you've done to Uncle Chu, I'll pay you back double. Lin Yi's voice was as calm as ever, without a hint of emotion. But you're too weak in front of me. If I hit you twice, you'd be dead. What did you say, you brat? Uncle Pai was furious after hearing Lin Yi's words. As far as he was concerned, a cripple talking to him like that was suicidal. How about this, seeing that you're doing things for the Xiao family, I won't kill you. Lin Yi said faintly. I'll use 50% of my strength to hit you, and if you can take it, you can leave. I won't make things difficult for you. But if you can't take it, then there's nothing I can do. Wah! Uncle Pai paused for a moment before bursting into laughter. He slapped his chest. You hit me? All right, I'll let you. But if you can't kill me, then I'll kill you. Let's see what you can do. With that, Uncle Pai stood in front of Lin Yi with his chest puffed out. He was a mystic mid-phase peak physical practitioner, and even before Lin Yi lost his strength, Lin Yi was only a mystic early phase. They were 2 levels apart, and so Uncle Pai didn't put Lin Yi in his eyes at all. Wait. Xiaoben saw that Lin Yi seemed to be serious and suddenly hesitated. If he was just showing off, then why did he slap Uncle Pai in the first place? Therefore Xiaoben wanted to ask again. What happened today was a bit too strange. However, Xiaoben was still a step too late. Lin Yi's palms smacked out. Uncle Pai was still laughing and patting his chest, looking at Lin Yi mockingly, but the next moment he was like a kite with a broken string, flying out of the villa with a whoosh, landing on the road in front of the villa with a loud thud. Xiaoji was stunned, and so was Xiaoben. They all stared blankly at Lin Yi. As far as they knew, Lin Yi didn't have any strength left. How could he send Uncle Pai flying with a single palm strike? Could it be? Xiaoji and Xiaoben looked at each other and thought of a terrifying possibility. Lin Yi's strength didn't disappear, it was all an illusion. You. Xiaoji's eyes widened as he pointed at Lin Yi, saying you 3 times, but he couldn't say anything else. Don't you? I was afraid that I would kill him, so I only used 40% of my strength. He probably won't die, Lin Yi said calmly. Xiaoji and Xiaoben heard Lin Yi's words and didn't say anything else. They turned around and ran out of the mansion, wanting to check on Uncle Pai's injuries. After all, Uncle Pai was the Xiao family's only support. If anything happened to Uncle Pai, then the Xiao family's strength would plummet. Right now, the Xiao family's status as a noble family was in danger. Nothing could happen to Uncle Pai. The two of them quickly ran out of the courtyard, but just as they stepped out of the mansion, they heard a screech of brakes. The car screeched to a halt. Bang! Just as Peeble flew out of the mansion, he was hit by an oncoming red Ferrari and was sent flying. Uncle Pai screamed in pain as he fell to the ground, blood bubbling out of his mouth. He wasn't going to make it, huh? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben looked at each other with their eyes wide open. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? How did Uncle Pai get hit by a car? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were dumbfounded. They didn't know what to do, and just as they were about to check on Uncle Pai, a woman jumped out of the red Ferrari and started yelling, "Which old fart is this? Don't you watch where you're going? You just came out like that. Are you trying to extort money from me? Let me tell you, don't even think about extorting money from me. Who do you think I am? I'm from the Xiao family from Yanjing. My Ferrari is worth a few million yuan, and it even damaged my car." It was Xiao Ji's second wife, Go Huli. Go Huli had received a call from Xiao Ji saying that she was going to humiliate Pingzhan's family today, and so she hurried back from the beauty salon. She wanted to see Pingzhan's family as soon as possible, so she drove a little faster. But just as she reached House Chu's mansion, a black shadow ran in front of her car, and Go Huli couldn't stop in time, sending the black shadow flying. When she got out of the car, she realized that it was an old man, his face covered in blood from being hit by her car. Go Huli was used to being arrogant, and she wasn't afraid of something like this. Wasn't it just a car accident? She didn't do it on purpose, and at most she'd just pay some money. While Go Huli was acting arrogantly, Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were dumbfounded. They never would have thought that the person who hit Uncle Pai was Go Huli. Xiao Ji was infuriated and rushed over, swinging his arm and giving Go Huli a big slap. "You useless bitch, are you blind?" Go Huli was stunned and looked at Xiao Ji in disbelief. "Hubby. Why did you hit me?" "Hit you? Are you fucking blind? Do you even know how to drive? Fuck your fourth uncle." Xiao Ji slapped again and Go Huli's mouth started bleeding. "Look at who you hit. It's Uncle Pai. You bitch." "Ah." Go Huli was dumbfounded by Xiao Ji's words. "What? The person she hit was Uncle Pai?" "Bro, alright, don't hit sis-in-law, let's check on Uncle Pai first." Xiao Ben was panicking as well, but he knew the severity of the situation. What could hitting solve at a time like this? "Let's check on Uncle Pai first. I'll deal with you when we get home." Xiao Ji quickly turned around and ran to Uncle Pai. Chapter 955. Roles reversed, it's over. Xiao Ben only took one look and his heart immediately turned cold. His head is smashed and his brain juice is flowing out. Can he still live? "Hurry up and call the ambulance." Xiao Ji was panicking as well, glaring at Huli. "What are you looking at? Hurry up and call the ambulance." Oh, yes." Go Huli nodded and took out her phone to call the emergency center. In the villa, Lin Yi's eyes were wide open as well. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Wasn't this too much? How did this Uncle Pai die? Did he get hit by himself or did he get run over by a car? Yao, that Huli's so pitiful. She killed a master from the Xiao family. Shield bro's been merciful for nothing. Yushu said regretfully. "She'll probably be hung up and beaten when we get home tonight. I really want to go see." The scene was a little bloody, but it was a dramatic ending. Mingyao couldn't help but smile. Yeah, their family sure is unlucky. Pengzhan didn't expect things to end up like this too. The Xiao family's master got run over by the Xiao family's daughter-in-law. The Xiao family had fallen to a certain point, and Pengzhan didn't have the heart to bully them anymore. "You guys go deal with the funerals first. When you're done, I'll get someone to talk to me about the 400 million and the 4 properties." Lin Yi looked at the Xiao family brothers and shook his head. "You guys saw it yourself. Life is full of surprises and the next one might be you." Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben shivered at Lin Yi's threat. At this moment they truly felt fear. Lin Yi's strength hadn't disappeared at all, but that wasn't the problem. The problem was that Uncle Pai was dead. The Xiao family wouldn't have anything to rely on anymore, wouldn't they? Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were both shocked and infuriated. They didn't think that Lin Yi wouldn't stop after Uncle Pai's death. He wanted to extort money and 4 properties from them. This was simply going too far. But they didn't realize that after they'd let Uncle Pai injure Wei Jizuan, they'd pushed Pengzhan into a corner as well. But how could the Xiao family have any property rights? They wouldn't need to fight for Pengzhan's property if they had their own. As for the 400 million, the Xiao family could afford it, but that was after selling all their properties in Yanjing. They were preparing to expand their business in Songshan. How could they give it to Lin Yi? But the current situation was that the Xiao family didn't want to give it to him. Would Linny let them go? Looking at Uncle Pai and the Xiao family being taken away by the ambulance, Linny didn't feel the slightest bit of sympathy. Perhaps this was what they meant by, the evils they brought upon themselves are the hardest to bear. It's time for the next house. Linny shrugged and turned to Pingzhan. Uncle Chu, I'm going to the floating cloud bar. Oh? You're still planning to cause trouble for Zhao Qibing? Pingzhan paused. Since they came to our doorstep, how can they learn their lesson if I don't teach them a lesson? Linny shook his head. But this Zhao Qibing doesn't seem to have a good memory. All right, be careful. Pingzhan saw that Linny was so insistent, so he didn't say anything else. He knew that the strong preyed on the weak. If you didn't teach them a lesson after being bullied, they'd think that you were afraid of them. They'd come back to bully you again. Only when someone bullies you and you step on them back fiercely, to the point where the other party is afraid of you, can you make them fear you. But you better come back early. Pingzhan said hesitantly. After all, it's a critical period right now. I'm worried that House Yu and Xiao family will retaliate and come back to take revenge on Yao Yao and Shu. Don't worry, Linny smiled. General Wei Wu isn't someone to be trifled with. Besides, would they dare to come back? But, Uncle Chu, you'll have to spend your own money to fix the door. We don't know when we'll get House Yu's property back. As long as House Yu and Xiao family had enough power, they'd definitely come back for revenge. But now wasn't the time. Of course. Pingzhan smiled bitterly. Only Linny dared to say something like that. He killed Yu Bide and still dared to ask for benefits from House Yu. But his father was right. Linny was Linny after all. Songshan's passive situation still depended on him to solve it. It was as if all the troubles had disappeared in an instant. The weak side had become the strong side. Pingzhan couldn't even get used to the sudden change of roles. Just this morning he was still worried about House Chu's future and his daughter's future. But now he was worried about House Yu, Xiao family and Zhao Qibing. Linny, be careful. Mengyao waited for Linny to walk to the door before speaking. Her tone was flat, but Linny could see the deep concern in her eyes the moment he turned back to look at the Mississippi. Linny nodded. The miss had always been like this, cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Linny was used to it. Good luck, shield bro. Yushu waved her fist. I've always had high hopes for you. Linny nodded to them and left the villa. He got on Yushu's beetle and drove to the floating cloud bar. Jiangwen had encouraged House Yu and Xiao family to go after Pingzhan, and Jiangwen was waiting for Pingzhan to call him for help. From his perspective, Pingzhan would definitely agree to his suggestion under the pressure of House Yu and Xiao family. There was no other reason. Although Mengyao might not like him, marrying him was the best option for Mengyao compared to marrying a stranger like House Yu. He believed that Pingzhan wasn't an idiot. He should be able to understand this. If Mengyao married him, Pingzhan would not only protect Pingzhan Industries, but also his daughter's happiness. Jiangwen truly liked Mengyao, so even if he married Mengyao, he would love her dearly and wouldn't do anything to her. Jiangwen looked at the time on his watch. Didn't House Yu say they were going early in the morning? It was already 8 and he didn't know if there were any results yet. There was no news from Xiao family either. Were they going or not? Chapter 956. Chapter 954, Jiangwen's hint. With that in mind, Jiangwen dialed Zhao Qibing's number without hesitation. Zhao Qibing was in the floating cloud bar doing some recovery exercises. His legs were finally able to stand up and walk under Yao Wang's meticulous treatment. Yao Wang's medical skills weren't as good as Lin Yi's, but it was still much better than recovering in the hospital. Tang Juqing had been able to stand up and walk a long time ago, but he could only stand up now. But Zhao Qibing felt that this was a happy event. That's why his legs were recovering so fast. His biggest enemy in Songshan, Lin Yi, was finally done for. Zhao Qibing had already considered Lin Yi as an obstacle to his development in Songshan. He believed that as long as Lin Yi was gone, he'd be able to do whatever he wanted. It wasn't his fault for thinking like that. Before, no matter what he did, he'd always get in the way of Lin Yi. He'd even demolished Lin Yi's girlfriend's house. How unlucky. Lin Yi, that's what you get for showing off in front of me. After I'm done with House Chu, I'll go play with your wife. Tang Yin? Haha, I've had my eyes on her since a long time ago. I'll make you cry then. With that thought, Zhao Qibing couldn't help but chuckle happily. Master Bing, what's the matter? Why are you so happy? Sihua walked in after hearing Master Bing's laughter. My legs are healed and Lin Yi is done for. Zhao Qibing said excitedly. Right, did House Chu contact us? What's the deadline they gave them? Congratulations, Master Bing. Congratulations to you. From now on, Songshan belongs to you, Master Bing. You'll be able to do whatever you want. Sihua congratulated. The deadline they gave Pingzhan is today. Oh? Then why didn't they contact us? Zhao Qibing was getting impatient. A while ago, he'd almost died of depression from being stepped on. Now that he finally had the chance to step on someone else, he was naturally impatient. Then I'll go find Pingzhan with Yao Wang later and threaten him? Sihua asked after some hesitation. Sure, I'll go with you later. Qibing wanted to enjoy the fun of stepping on people. Master Bing, how's your leg? Sihua asked hesitantly. I'm fine. Look, I'm all right now. Qibing walked 2 rounds on the ground. He hadn't been in the wheelchair for long, so he got back to normal after a bit of recovery training. Look at how smooth I'm walking. I can trot. I can jump. Master Bing, you're amazing. Ha, I bet Lin Yi's going to be pissed to see how fast your legs healed. Sihua congratulated. Yeah, I'm going to piss Lin Yi off, and this time I'm going to break his legs. None of you help me, I'll do it myself, Qibing said. Zhao Qibing was feeling proud of himself when his phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Jianghu calling. Was this guy giving him money again? Hello. Master Wen, why are you calling me at this hour? Qibing picked up. Master Bing? I have some news to tell you. Jianghu purposely lowered his voice. I heard that Pingzhan wants to escape. He ran to Mingyao's villa early in the morning, planning to escape with Mingyao. I heard that House Yu and Xiao family are looking for him now. Master Bing, you have to hurry, don't let them escape. Oh? Really? Qibing paused. He wasn't worried that Pingzhan would run away, but he couldn't run away with his temple. He wanted a real estate company different from Xiao family and House Yu. Xiao family wanted money and property, while House Yu wanted people and shares. They were afraid that Pingzhan would run away with the money and Mingyao, but Qibing wasn't afraid of this. But Qibing was afraid that Pingzhan didn't have that much money. Xiao family wanted 200 million, and if Pingzhan didn't have it, he would have to use something else to replace it. House Yu wouldn't agree to that. After all, they wanted the shares of Pingzhan Industries, and they might even use his real estate company's assets to make up the difference. Wouldn't that be a huge loss for him? Although Xiao family and House Yu wouldn't take away the real estate company directly, they still had to give him face. But Qibing was afraid that they would take away the land and properties under the real estate company, leaving behind an empty shell. What use would he have then? Besides, if those things fell into House Yu and Xiao family's pockets, he wouldn't be able to ask for them anymore. He could only blame it on his bad luck. After all, he was robbing someone else's stuff. First come, first serve. Yeah, I'm afraid that if you're late, it'll be too late, Jianghu said. But don't you like Mingyao? How are you going to tip me off? Qibing wasn't an idiot. He knew that Jianghu was Mingyao's pursuer, and he didn't care about what he did to House Chu, but he didn't understand why Jianghu wanted him to be more ruthless towards House Chu. I like her, but she doesn't like me. She's going to marry into House Yu soon. What's the use of liking her? If she came to me earlier, she wouldn't be in this situation now. Jianghu said this on purpose to give Qibing a heads up. She'll be the wife of the Firewolf gang, and even House Yu will have to give them face. Yeah, but that girl asked for it herself, who can she blame? Qibing agreed. It was indeed the case, so he went along with it. Man, I really can't bear to part with her. But you're right, Mingyao is looking for trouble herself, and she doesn't even come to me when she's in trouble. What else can I do? Jianghu sighed. Alright, Master Wen, my condolences. You're a healthy man with 2 kidneys now, you have to look forward. There's no impermanence grass in the world, there's no need to look for Mingyao. Qibing consoled. Yeah, then I won't disturb you anymore, Master Bing. I'm calling you because of Master Bing's help. I became a normal person and regained my manhood. Jianghu said, why else would I stick my nose into other people's business? I know. Thank you, Master Wen. Qibing didn't doubt Jianghu's words this time and believed him. After hanging up, Qibing called Sihua over. Sihua, I just received news that Pingzhan is trying to escape, and now House Yu and Xiao family are looking for him. If we're late, all the benefits will be taken by others and we won't get anything at all. Chapter 957. He can do it first. Yes, we'll go now. Go get Yao Wang, we'll go now. Qibing said. Alright, I'll go now. Sihua nodded. Where are you guys going? A voice rang out, scaring Qibing and Sihua. Linny? Qibing froze as he looked at the newcomer in disbelief. Who else could it be if not Linny? Are you guys looking for me? So there's no need to go. I'm here. Linny looked at Qibing with a mocking look. Your legs healed? No wonder you're jumping around so happily. Looks like you're better off sitting in a wheelchair. What do you mean? Linny, you're crippled. How dare you come here? Are you tired of living? Qibing couldn't help but feel troubled after hearing Lin Yi's words. Was Lin Yi out of his mind? He could tolerate his arrogance when he was strong, but now that he didn't have the strength, how could he be so arrogant? Who told you I'm crippled? Lin Yi looked at Qibing, a little surprised. Are you dreaming? Can't you tell reality from a dream? Are you hallucinating? Qibing was stunned by Lin Yi's words, but he remembered that Lin Yi was crippled, and he was the one who sent people to test him, so it shouldn't be a lie. With that thought, he forced himself to calm down. Lin Yi, stop pretending. I'm the one who found the Baldy in the parking lot of Starlight Hotel. I know your background like the back of my hand. You're trying to scare me? Is it because Pengzhan has no other choice but to send you to stop me? Oh. Lin Yi frowned. So it was Qibing who sent the Baldy. If I'm not wrong, Pengzhan is probably packing his things and planning to run away, right? Did they send you here to buy time? Qibing saw the frown on Lin Yi's face and thought that he'd hit the nail on the head. He continued to use his reasoning skills. But Lin Yi, aren't you an idiot? Why are you so stupid? You're still working for Chu Pengzhan in this kind of situation. How much does he pay you? I asked you to scare me because I wanted you to be my cannon fodder. Do you think that you can leave now that you've come? Don't you know that I've wanted you dead for a long time? Oh, Uncle Chu didn't ask me to come, I came on my own. Lin Yi mercilessly denied Qibing's reasoning. Qibing paused. I know you've always liked that girl Meng Yao, right? You sacrificed yourself for her. Am I right? Sigh, since ancient times, servants have been affectionate. They were willing to die for the young miss. I didn't expect to see the modern version. Wow, this is so touching. Your legs are healed, what's wrong with your head? Lin Yi looked at the arrogant Qibing and shook his head regretfully. Looks like you'll still have to sit in a wheelchair. If your IQ continues to develop like this, you'll end up in a vegetative state. Fuck, what did you say? Qibing slammed the table and pointed at the wheelchair behind him. Lin Yi, how dare you say something like that when you're here? Do you really want to die? You want me to sit in a wheelchair? Do you know why I didn't throw it away after using it? Because you already knew that it would be useful? Lin Yi looked at Qibing, surprised. You're not stupid. You knew that I prepared this wheelchair for you? Qibing laughed. That's right, I'll let you come in standing and leave in a wheelchair. Oh, it's not me who's stupid, it's you. Lin Yi shook his head regretfully. You're wrong. I thought you were like Prophet Shu, a prophet soldier. I knew you'd have to sit in a wheelchair. Yao Wang. Take control of this kid, I'll break his legs myself. Qibing was furious. In his imagination, when he saw Lin Yi again, Lin Yi would kneel down and beg him with tears and snot. But Lin Yi was still so arrogant even though he had lost his strength. This created a huge gap between Qibing's dream and reality, and he was extremely pissed off. Although he could take revenge on Lin Yi now, it wasn't as satisfying as that. Yes, the king pharmacist replied. He had already heard the commotion and was waiting by the side. Although Yao Wang wasn't good at fighting, taking down Lin Yi who had lost all his strength was a piece of cake for him. Yao Wang was the one who was most confident that Lin Yi had lost all his strength. He was the one who analyzed and deduced that Lin Yi had lost all his strength. So Yao Wang grabbed at Lin Yi without any hesitation. But in the next moment he realized that he couldn't grab Lin Yi. You're still running so fast when you've lost your strength? Yao Wang looked at Lin Yi who was dodging to the side and said in disbelief, You're quite good at escaping, aren't you? You can run if you can't win, but it's a pity that your legs will be crippled by Master Bing in a few days. No matter how good your Qinggong is, it's useless. Right, Master Bing? He had been with Master Bing for a long time and learned his laughter. He was able to imitate it perfectly. However, after Yao Wang finished speaking, he looked at Master Bing, but he didn't see Master Bing laughing out loud as he expected. At this moment, Master Bing's eyes were wide open as he looked at him in shock. This made Yao Wang confused. Master Bing, what's wrong? Your body? Master Bing's eyes were wide open as if he had seen a ghost. He pointed at Yao Wang and said in disbelief, What's wrong with my body? Yao Wang lowered his head in confusion and looked at his body. But when he looked, he was shocked. The king of medicine was shocked to discover that his entire body had been pierced with numerous silver needles. He suddenly remembered that when he tried to catch Lin Yi, he felt a faint prickling pain all over his body, but he didn't care at that time. Because he was a medical student, he knew that the human body would sometimes have nervous itching and prickling pain. This was not a rare thing, so he didn't care. But now he realized that it was not the case at all. What did you do to my body? Yao Wang looked at Lin Yi in shock, his face full of horror. Nothing. Aren't you good at harming people? I heard that you wanted to poison my house? Lin Yi shrugged and said innocently, so I had to make the first move. But I heard that you're very powerful, so you should be able to deal with it yourself, right? Chapter 958. Who told you that? Yao Wang subconsciously circulated his pure energy to check. However, he didn't notice anything strange after circulating his pure energy. However, the more he felt, the more worried Yao Wang became. Because Li Dilei's energy was suppressed by Lin Yi's silver needles. He couldn't feel anything if he didn't remove the needles. It's nothing. Aren't you the miracle doctor, Zhao Yaowang? A mocking smile appeared on Lin Yi's lips. It's spreading like wildfire on the internet right now, so I believe that you'll be able to deal with it. Is it the same as Li Dilei's pure energy needles? Yao Wang asked in shock. Oh, more or less, but I modified it a little. It's not the same as last time, Lin Yi said. Didn't you notice that the needles were inserted into your meridians? This. Yao Wang's expression became even more shocked. What will happen? It's nothing. I've compressed my pure energy and sealed it in your meridians. You'll be fine as long as you don't pull it out. Lin Yi smiled. Of course you can pull it out too. So what? Yao Wang's face darkened. Isn't your strength gone? How can you still have pure energy? Why are you as dumb as that idiot Zhao Qibing? You're on his side after all, taking things for granted. Lin Yi curled his lips. May I ask who told you that my strength is gone? This? Yao Wang thought. Who told me? Didn't I guess it myself? If you pull out the silver needles, then my true qi will explode in your body with a bang. Lin Yi said exaggeratedly, after that, your meridians will be destroyed and your strength will be greatly reduced. After you pull out all the needles, your meridians will be destroyed and congratulations, you can practice physical arts from now on. Lin Yi said exaggeratedly, after that, your meridians will be destroyed. This was a bad idea that Lin Yi came up with after his meridians were damaged. He used it on Yao Wang. However, to deal with a person like the Medicine King, it was impossible not to hurt him a little. Impossible. The Medicine King's face suddenly became sinister. You're lying, you don't even have your strength, you're just using a few silver needles to pretend. You don't have any innate qi, I can't feel any innate qi fluctuations in your body. My strength is higher than yours, of course you can't feel it. Lin Yi thought to himself, you're not me. A normal inner force expert can only see the opponent's strength when they circulate their true qi. Even if the opponent's strength is much higher than the opponent's, they can still see the opponent's strength at a glance. Otherwise, unless you have a golden finger like Lin Yi, you can see the opponent's strength. Bullshit. You don't have any strength left. The Medicine King was the one who was most certain that Lin Yi had lost his strength, so he did not believe that Lin Yi still had any strength left. If you don't believe me, then forget it. You can pull out a silver needle and try. Lin Yi said indifferently. So be it. You think I don't dare? The Medicine King said as he stretched out his hand to pull out the silver needle in his chest. But when his hand touched the needle, he paused for a moment and moved his hand to his left leg to pull out the needle. Lin Yi secretly laughed but did not say anything. Even though the Medicine King shouted that he was not afraid, he still did not dare to pull out the silver needle in his chest. One must know that near the chest was the main meridian. If it was destroyed, then his strength would directly drop from mystic class to golden class. The left leg was not important, the innate qi stored there was very little. After the meridian was destroyed, at most the left leg would not be able to use innate qi, but for an expert like the Medicine King who was not good at fighting, it was not important. The Medicine King directly pulled out the silver needle in his leg, and the result was immediately dumbfounded. With a loud sound, he felt as if his left leg was about to explode. The meridian in it was instantly destroyed by Lin Yi's huge innate qi. The Medicine King screamed and staggered, almost falling to the ground. The Medicine King's face changed from pain to fear. He looked at Lin Yi, beads of sweat dripping down his face. Impossible. This is impossible, why didn't you lose your strength? Medicine King cried in his heart. What was wrong with Lin Yi? Was he pretending to be weak? He didn't lose his strength, why didn't he show it in the parking lot? He made him think that Lin Yi had lost his strength. At this moment, Qibing and Sihua were dumbfounded as well. What? Lin Yi didn't lose his strength? In other words, Lin Yi was still as strong as before? Fuck. Zhao Qibing remembered the words he said to Lin Yi before, and he wanted to slap himself a few times. His mouth was too dirty, his mouth was too dirty. With Lin Yi's temper he was done for. I'm still confused, who told you that I don't have any strength? Who told you that? Or are you imagining it? Lin Yi looked at Medicine King mockingly. Medicine King's face darkened. I'm not imagining it, am I? He couldn't help but ask bitterly, You have the strength, why didn't you use your chi in the parking lot? Why would I use my chi against a few thieves? Linny shook his head. Plus, it's mine, I can use it if I want, I can't use it if I don't want to. Why do you care so much? Medicine King was speechless. Linny was right, the chi was his, he didn't care if he wanted to use it or not. But he still asked, before that, I went to Pengzhan Industries to find trouble with Pengzhan? Chairman Chu, why didn't you stop me? Oh fine, I just pretended that I didn't have any strength, I wanted to see who was trying to harm me and then I'll step on them. Linny shrugged, admitting it. Fuck. Medicine King couldn't help but curse. Had he been played? Had he become someone who was trying to harm him? And so Linny stepped on him? He only had himself to blame, who else could he blame? Medicine King felt a wave of sadness in his heart. Then my needles? What should I do? Medicine King smiled bitterly. Aren't you very strong yourself? You can try refining my chi or wait for my meridians to break, then you can repair them. Linny said, right, I forgot to tell you I can repair meridians. If your meridians are broken, you can ask me to repair them. You can repair meridians? Medicine King looked at Linny in shock. Chapter 959. You got lucky. No wonder, no wonder. The Medicine King looked up to the sky and let out a long sigh. If not for the silver needles on his chest and body, he would have pounded his chest and stamped his feet. But he still said sadly, no wonder my prediction failed. Maju was in such a miserable state, how could you be fine? So you can heal yourself. It's not too late to understand now, Linny said. But, can you help me repair my meridians? Medicine King looked at Linny with a face full of hope. Sure. Linny nodded. Ah. The Medicine King stared blankly for a moment and almost cried out in front of Linny. Could Linny really help him repair his meridians? But my fees are definitely more expensive than a quack like you. Linny said, 1 billion for 1 meridian. There are 7 meridians and 8 meridians in a martial artist's body. There are a total of 15 main meridians. You can give me 15 billion. I'll give you the other auxiliary meridians. The Medicine King rolled his eyes and almost fainted from anger. 1 billion meridians? Why didn't he just rob someone? Don't think it's expensive. Do you know how many heavenly materials and earthly treasures I have to spend to repair one of your meridians? Maybe my master will have to come personally. My master will have to pay for the journey, right? Linny started to spout nonsense. The Medicine King remained silent, despair written all over his face. Linny shrugged and ignored Yao Wang. He turned to Zhao Qibing. Zhao Qibing, it seems like you haven't given up yet? The building has collapsed twice. Don't you know that there are some people you can't afford to offend? It'll be troublesome if you do. Linny boss, hi. I was tricked by House Yu and Xiao family, that's why I did something like this. In fact, I'm scared of you. The expression on Qibing's face was very interesting. In order to save his life, he had no choice but to endure the humiliation. Zhao Qibing knew very well that Linny could do anything, so he pushed all the blame onto House Yu and Xiao family. He didn't believe that Linny would dare to do anything to House Yu and Xiao family. After all, Linny might not know the power of the hidden aristocratic families, but he definitely knew that the aristocratic families of the common world were not to be trifled with. Besides, House Yu had the support of a hidden house, and although the Xiao family was down and out, Zhao Qibing didn't believe that Linny would dare to touch them. After all, if Linny were to touch the Xiao family, the other aristocratic families would definitely sympathize with him. Perhaps they would be the next ones to be affected and they wouldn't sit idly by. Yu Bide is dead and so is Uncle Pai. Linny said faintly. Zhao Qibing heard Lin Yi's words and almost fell on his butt. What's going on? Linny even dared to kill someone from House Yu? From Zhao Qibing's perspective, no matter how arrogant Linny was, he would only touch the Xiao family, not House Yu. He didn't think that Linny would even dare to kill someone from House Yu. Wasn't he being too ruthless? This guy didn't play his cards according to common sense at all. Moreover, he was completely unscrupulous in his actions. Wasn't he afraid that others would take revenge on him? That's right, this time he pretended that he had lost a lot of his strength and attracted some people to take revenge on him. In the end, the people who took revenge were taken revenge on him. No one from your family has died yet, so I'm here. Linny looked at Zhao Qibing and said with a smile that wasn't a smile. Boss Linny, there must be some misunderstanding between us. Zhao Qibing was so scared that his legs couldn't move, and his whole body was trembling. The smile on his face was ugly. Look, if I wasn't bewitched, I wouldn't dare to cause trouble for you. Please don't be impulsive. Don't be afraid. Before I kill someone, I usually give them a chance to choose. Linny waved his hand and interrupted Zhao Qibing. I gave House Yu and Xiao family 2 conditions, but they didn't agree, so there's nothing I can do. I agree. Zhao Qibing nodded. Your condition? I want double, Linny said faintly. My condition. Zhao Qibing's face changed and he smiled bitterly. I want Pingzhan Industries Real Estate Company, but I don't have 2 real estate companies. If I did, I wouldn't need to ask for someone else's. Then you can only die. Linny said, but you're different from House Yu and Xiao family. You're saying that you want Yao Wang to poison us? No, why would I dare to poison you? Zhao Qibing quickly denied. Linny, I was the one who gave the order. Master Bing didn't mean to poison you. I was just afraid that Pingzhan wouldn't listen to me, that's why I said that. Sihua gritted his teeth and stepped forward, deciding to take the blame for Zhao Qibing. Zhao Qibing didn't show up at the time, he just needed to take all the responsibility, and perhaps he would be able to shift Lin Yi's anger onto himself. Oh, it's you? You're the one who wanted to poison Uncle Chu's family? Linny looked at Sihua and asked. That's me. Sihua nodded. Oh, then I'll kill your family too. Of course that includes Zhao Qibing, Linny said nonchalantly. Wah. Sihua paused. But this has nothing to do with Master Bing? Oh, when you wanted to kill Uncle Chu's family, you didn't think it had anything to do with Yao Yao, so I don't think it has anything to do with Zhao Qibing either, Linny said. Sihua was speechless. Did he stand up and take the blame for nothing? Boss Linny, I don't have a real estate company, but can I use my money to pay off my debt? Zhao Qibing was scared when he heard that Linny had killed Yu Bide and Uncle Pai. He believed that Linny would kill him for sure. Oh, that's fine, Linny smiled. Forget it, I'll give you a discount. 200 million is fine. 200 million. Zhao Qibing's face turned bitter again. I only have 150 million. This 150 million was taken from Zheningjun and Jianghu. It had only been a few days and now it was going to be gone. 50 million, huh? That's fine, you break your own leg and I'll give you 50 million, Linny said. That. Qibing hesitated. Although his leg was just healed, it would be too painful to break it again. But when he thought about it, he would be able to save 50 million and keep his life. It was a good deal. He was just sitting in a wheelchair for a while, it didn't matter. He gritted his teeth. Fine. Sure. Sihua, get a metal rod for Boss Linny and break my leg. But, okay. Sihua wanted to say something, but thinking about Lin Yi's personality, he shook his head and went out to get the metal rod. Chapter 960. Chapter 958. Swearing to the wheelchair. A trace of humiliation flashed across Qibing's eyes as he gritted his teeth. Sihua, do it. With that, he pulled up his shirt and bit it into his mouth before sitting on the wheelchair behind him. But Sihua didn't dare to do it. Hurry up, my time is limited. If you don't do it now, I'll get a comminuted fracture. Linny said impatiently. Sihua, do it, this is an order. Qibing shuddered as he gave the order. Sihua had no choice but to grit his teeth and smash the metal rod down on Qibing's left leg. With a crack, Qibing screamed in pain. His left leg was broken. Sihua raised the metal rod again and smashed it down on Qibing's right leg. With another crack, Qibing's right leg was broken as well. Qibing was in so much pain that he wanted to roll on the floor. Remember to transfer the money. Right, breaking one leg is enough. Why did you break two? Linny shrugged and left the floating cloud bar. That. Sihua froze. He hated Linny to the core. Why didn't he say so earlier? He didn't break both of Qibing's legs at the same time, but he did it separately. Why did he have to wait until after he was done? Wasn't he doing it on purpose? If Master Bing were to blame him, Linny, I Zhao Qibing swear to the wheelchair that if I don't kill you my surname isn't Zhao. Qibing endured the pain and waited for Linny to leave before saying viciously, remember this, I Zhao Qibing am a man of my words. Master Bing, I'm sorry. Sihua quickly apologized for breaking both of Qibing's legs. It's none of your business. Qibing waved his hand and rolled his eyes before fainting. Lin Yi didn't return to Mingyao's villa after leaving the floating cloud bar. Instead he called Tang Yun. He had to explain to Tang Yun. Perhaps today's result would disappoint her, but Lin Yi had no other choice. At the same time he didn't want Miss and Shu to leave. Although he didn't spend a lot of time with them, after spending every day with them, Lin Yi had really fallen in love with them. Hello? Lin Yi, are you on the train? Tang Yun knew that Lin Yi probably left last night, but she was afraid that if she went to send him off, someone would see her. It was better to let Lin Yi leave secretly and not be seen by his enemies. No, I'm in Songshan, Lin Yi said. You didn't leave? Tang Yun paused. What's wrong? What happened? Where are you? Let's talk when we meet. Lin Yi sighed slightly and said. I'm at school. It's lunch break right now, Tang Yun said. Then I'll go to school now. Lin Yi turned the car around and drove towards the school. Pinliang and Xiaofu just came out of a restaurant in front of the school. The school had covered up Pinliang's crimes, but even so, Pinliang and Xiaofu didn't dare go to the cafeteria. The cafeteria's chef knew the inside story, and it'd be bad if they said something wrong. So they went to a nearby restaurant for lunch every day. With Pinliang's family background, they could afford it. Liang bro, isn't that Lin Yi? Xiaofu suddenly pointed not far away. Lin Yi? Pinliang paused and looked in the direction Xiaofu was pointing at. Lin Yi was getting out of a yellow beetle as expected. Why is he still here? House Yu, Xiao family and Zhao Qibing's people still haven't killed him? Xiaofu asked curiously. Yeah, why is he here at this time? He's not hiding, why is he here in public? Pinliang frowned. Liang bro, let's go look for trouble with him? Xiaofu suggested excitedly. Look for what? Are you stupid? Lin Yi still dares to come to school at this time? There must be something wrong. Pinliang was no longer the reckless and brainless Pinliang he used to be. He had experienced great joy and sorrow and had evolved into a highly intelligent Pinliang. Wait, I'll ask my dad. Okay. Xiaofu nodded and shrunk his head. Pinliang called Fabai and Fabai picked up the phone. Hello? Pinliang, what's up? Dad, I want to ask you something. Did Xiao family, House Yu and Master Bing go looking for trouble with Chu Pingzhan? Pinliang asked. I saw Lin Yi at school. Pinliang, don't mess with Lin Yi, do you hear me? You can't. Fabai was shocked by his son's words and hurriedly said to his son. What's wrong? Pinliang paused. You don't know? House Yu and Xiao family were all killed by Lin Yi. And just now Lin Yi came back from Master Bing's place. Not only did he injure Yao Wang, but he also broke Master Bing's legs. He even asked Master Bing for 150 million. Fabai said quickly. Oh my god, really? Pinliang was shocked. Lin Yi even dared to kill Xiao family and House Yu? Don't talk about Xiao family and House Yu, even Master Bing didn't do anything. He still has to compensate Lin Yi? Fabai smiled bitterly. This Lin Yi pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger. His strength hasn't disappeared at all, but today he showed his power. This Lin Yi is so evil? Pinliang couldn't help but sigh. It seemed like he was really smart to not mess with Lin Yi. Otherwise he wouldn't even know how he died. Yeah, let's talk later. I'm busy. Fabai said. Just remember not to mess with Lin Yi. Got it? Pinliang nodded and hung up. He told his father's words to Xiaofu. See, I told you not to mess with Lin Yi. Now you know how smart I am? Yeah, Liang bro, you're really smart. Xiaofu heard Pinliang's words and couldn't help but feel scared. He wanted to mess with Lin Yi before, but now it seemed like it was the right decision. Liang bro, your IQ is really skyrocketing. You're no longer the Zhong Pinliang from before. That's right. Let me tell you, you need to have IQ to be a bad guy. Pinliang nodded proudly. Lin Yi has IQ, but his IQ can only fool Xiao family, House Yu and Master Bing. Compared to me, he's still a level lower. Chapter 961. Not really. That's right. We'll go visit Naipeo this weekend. Pinliang nodded. Yeah. I miss Naipeo too. It's been so long, I miss the days when the three of us were together. Xiaofu sighed. Lin Yi wasn't here back then and we were still doing whatever we wanted in school. It was such a good time. If Lin Yi hadn't come, we'd still be a bunch of rich kids who didn't know anything. What future would we have then? Pinliang said disdainfully. It was Lin Yi who changed me. It was through constant battles with Lin Yi that I was able to strengthen myself and defeat Lin Yi. That's the only way we can achieve greatness and stand at the top of the world. Liang bro, you're so thoughtful. You'll definitely become a famous person in the future. Xiaofu said. It's too early to talk about that. Let's go back to the classroom and pretend we didn't see Lin Yi. Pinliang waved his hand humbly. Lin Yi parked the car at the food street behind the school and quickly walked into the school, dialing Tang Yun's number as he walked. Yin, where are you? Lin Yi asked after the call connected. I'm reading in the classroom. I don't have much time left in school, I'll miss it. Tang Yun smiled. Are you at school? I'll go look for you. Yeah, I'll wait for you at the building. Lin Yi sighed inwardly. Would Tang Yun be unhappy when she found out the truth? It was the first time Lin Yi cared about a girl's thought. It made the usually calm Lin Yi a little depressed. The school was the same as usual. It was lunch break and many students were playing around in the field. Zhou Ruoming was still playing basketball with his lackeys not far away, and Pinliang was still hanging out with Xiaofu. It was a group of familiar faces and some unfamiliar faces. Lin Yi leaned against the flower bed in front of the school building, waiting for Tang Yun. Not long after, Tang Yun's silhouette appeared in front of the school building. As usual, Tang Yun was still wearing her school uniform. Although it wasn't that Tang Yun couldn't afford clothes, she was always like this. Linny liked this Tang Yun. She didn't change even though he gave her family a lot of money. When Tang Yun saw Lin Yi, the corner of her mouth turned into a beautiful smile. She quickly ran over, her chest slightly trembling, which surprised Lin Yi. He hadn't seen Tang Yun for a while, but her chest seemed to have grown bigger. Did she go through puberty again? Lin Yi wanted to ask, but he was too embarrassed to do so. In fact, Lin Yi was right. Tang Yun's breasts had started to grow. Tang Yun didn't say anything when Meng Yao used Yushu as a joke, but she was cheering in her heart. She added papaya milk to every meal, and she didn't think that it would have some effect unknowingly. This made Tang Yun very happy. Although she was going back to his hometown with Lin Yi soon, and she didn't know if she could see Meng Yao and Yushu again in this life, Tang Yun still wanted to perfect herself. You really haven't left yet? Tang Yun saw Lin Yi. Although she was surprised, her eyes were still filled with worry. Yeah, I haven't left yet. Lin Yi held Tang Yun's hand out of habit. Let's walk and talk. Okay. Tang Yun blushed, but she didn't reject. She had already decided to be with Lin Yi. She was also used to being intimate with Lin Yi occasionally, even in public. Tang Yun was a person who cared about her reputation. She didn't have any scandals before, but now that the whole school knew that she was Lin Yi's woman, Tang Yun was very calm. She had accepted everything in her heart. Lin Yi held Tang Yun's hand as they walked slowly under the shade of a tree. However, Lin Yi didn't say anything. It wasn't that he didn't want to say it, but he was thinking about how to start. Lin Yi understood Tang Yun's personality very well. Although she was strong sometimes, she was actually very fragile when it came to relationships. Especially with Xiaofan's example, Tang Yun protected herself like a hedgehog. She would turn into a monster at the slightest sign of trouble. This was also why Tang Yun was so guarded against Lin Yi before. But when she truly opened her heart and accepted Lin Yi, she became very careful, as if she was walking on thin ice, afraid that she would lose this relationship. Tang Yun. Lin Yi finally spoke. Chem? Tang Yun turned to look at Lin Yi. I won't go back to my hometown. I will stay in Songshan. Lin Yi clearly felt Tang Yun's grip on his hand tighten. Lin Yi sighed, because my strength has recovered, and it has improved. Tang Yun pursed her lips as a trace of disappointment flashed through her eyes. But she smiled. That's a good thing. Congratulations. How could Lin Yi not feel the slight change in Tang Yun's emotions? He smiled bitterly. Are you a little disappointed? Why would I be? Tang Yun shook her head. I'm really happy that your strength has recovered. Tang Yun was speaking the truth. Although her dream of living a happy and secluded life with Lin Yi was shattered, Tang Yun was really happy for Lin Yi's recovery, because she knew that Lin Yi cared a lot about these things. If he couldn't recover, he would definitely be unhappy. So, Tang Yun would rather be disappointed than let Lin Yi be unhappy. Thank you. Lin Yi squeezed Tang Yun's hand. Then, will you still stay at Chu Mingyao's place? Tang Yun hesitated and couldn't help but ask. Yes, I promised them that if I recover my strength, I will continue to stay at the villa. Lin Yi didn't hide it from Tang Yun. Ah, that's not bad. Tang Yun said insincerely. Anyone could see that she was disappointed. Tang Yun? Are you unhappy? Lin Yi also saw that Tang Yun didn't mean what she said. No. Tang Yun shook her head and took out a small box from her pocket and gave it to Lin Yi. Haha, I don't need this anymore. I'll give it back to you. Tang Yun took out the ring that Lin Yi gave her. Lin Yi was stunned. Why are you giving it back to me? I bought it for you in the first place. Maybe this ring won't be mine in the end? Tang Yun wasn't confident. Chu Mingyao and Yushu's thoughts were clear to everyone. They still left Lin Yi in the villa. Did they want Lin Yi to be their bodyguard for the rest of his life? Chapter 962. Everyone's worries. Don't think too much. Lin Yi took the box and took out the ring, putting it on Tang Yun's finger. What's yours will always be yours. And? Tang Yun was pleasantly surprised. At this moment, she forgot all her worries and happiness. Tang Yun would remember this moment for the rest of her life. Under the shade of the tree, he put the ring on her finger again, expressing his love for her. House Chu's problem seems to have been solved, but nothing has been solved yet. I'd be worried if you leave now. Yao Yao and Shu aren't hostile towards you, that's just how they are, just like how they treated me in the beginning. They'll get along well with you once you get to know them more. Lin Yi comforted. You'll get along well with them? Lin Yi comforted. Oh? Tang Yun paused. She didn't understand what Lin Yi was hinting at. Was he implying that he wouldn't give up on her even if he chose Miss? That he wanted her to get along well with them? Would she? She didn't know. If Linny really chose Miss, perhaps she would. Perhaps not. But what if she didn't? Would she give Linny to Miss? No, wouldn't that be what Miss wanted? Linny didn't mean it, but it made Tang Yun's thoughts drift far, far away. Linny was actually saying that the Miss would treat a person with kindness and care once she accepted him. Haha, I'll bring you back to see my old man during the summer after the college entrance exams, Linny smiled. And? Tang Yun was happy again, no matter what, as long as she was in Lin Yi's heart. Why should she care about Miss? If Lin Yi didn't like her, what was the point of keeping Lin Yi around? Tang Yun asked shyly, then? What should I call him? Grandpa then. That should be how old he is, but I always call him old man. Lin Yi said with a smile. He knew that Tang Yin couldn't just call him old man like that, it wouldn't be very polite. Yes. Tang Yin nodded. It's a good thing I didn't tell my family about this, I don't know what my mom would do otherwise. Tang Yun couldn't do anything about her mother. Haha. Lin Yi smiled. Lin Yi couldn't do anything about Mrs. Tang, but when he was pursuing Tang Yun, Mrs. Tang always stood by his side. Lin Yi was very grateful, so he didn't say anything about Mrs. Tang's greedy request. The Chu clan's troubles were over, but some people's troubles weren't over yet. Everyone who was hostile to the Chu family and Lin Yi began to panic. The Xiao family. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben looked at Uncle Pai on the sickbed, not knowing what to say. Although Uncle Pai's life was saved after a complicated procedure, he was now in a vegetative state. You wastrel. Xiao Ji looked at Uncle Pai, who was lying motionless on the bed with tubes all over his body. He slapped Go Huli's face angrily. You didn't watch your driving properly. Now that Uncle Pai is in a vegetative state, what will our Xiao family do? What will we do? Our position among the noble houses was already in danger, and now that there's no master here, the Xiao family is finished. Wah? Go Huli didn't dare say anything else, only wiping her tears. Cry, you only know how to cry. What's the use of crying? Xiao Ji was angry when he saw his wife. Why did he marry such a thing? The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. You're still crying, isn't this all your fault? If you didn't mess with Pengzhan's people, we wouldn't be enemies with them. If we didn't make enemies, how would we get Uncle Pai involved? Even if Uncle Pai is injured, you should at least watch your driving. Alright bro. Xiao Ben waved his hand. Now's not the time to argue, what's the use even if you beat sister-in-law to death? What's the point? Then? What should we do? Xiao Ji sighed. He didn't know what to do, that's why he vented his anger on Go Huli. First, in order to protect our Xiao family's interests, I suggest we marry House Kong as soon as possible, otherwise the Xiao family's position will be at stake. However, with the support of a large financial group like the Kong family, it is still beneficial to our Xiao family. At least we'll be able to get through this. Xiao Ji said. Second, we can try contacting Uncle Pai's school, he's been beaten up like this, don't you think his school can just ignore it? We need to hurry up with the marriage with House Kong. Xiao Ji nodded. But Uncle Pai's school, we don't know where he came from. Plus, wasn't Uncle Pai hit by Go Huli? If you don't say and I don't say, we'll just say it was Lin Yi who would know. Xiao Ben waved his hand. Even if they know it was sister-in-law, that's secondary. How could a mystic mid-phase physical practitioner be killed by a car? That's not realistic, right? That's true. But father didn't tell us where Uncle Pai came from and he went. Xiao Ji nodded. And we didn't have time to ask Uncle Pai, did we? That's true. Xiao Ben frowned. How about this, spread the news that Uncle Pai was beaten into a vegetative state by Lin Yi? Bro, but if we do that, will House Kong stop marrying us after hearing the news? Xiao Ji said worriedly. Do you think this news can be kept a secret? But Xiao Ben waved his hand and said, I reckon that before long, all the well-informed people will all know that something happened to our Xiao family. That's right, there's no way we can keep this a secret. Xiao Ji nodded. He went to contact House Kong and spread the news of Uncle Pai's vegetative state. Yinjing House Yu. Shuixing looked at the corpse of his third brother, Yu Bide, in the middle of the living room. Tears streamed down his face. Bro, why did you leave just like that? Big brother isn't home, and we're the only ones left in House Yu. Why did you leave me behind? Haitian stood at the side, not daring to say anything. House Yu had dominated the common world for so many years, and this kind of tragedy had never happened before. Everyone in House Yu didn't know what to do. Yu Kuan sat in his wheelchair, staring at his father's corpse. He couldn't accept this reality. He hadn't even recovered from his injuries and his father had died. How could Lin Yi be so cruel? Chapter 963. Even more ruthless than you, impulsive. Shueixing waved his hand, his face dark. You're still going after Lin Yi in this situation? Aren't you stupid? Then, are we just going to let it go? Yufeng paused. Little brother, I know you want to avenge me and my father, but second uncle is right, we can't be impulsive at a time like this. Yu Kuan was eager for revenge as well, but he understood that this wasn't the time to be impulsive. Feng, you're still young and impulsive. Shueixing nodded. Right now, Lin Yi is obviously pretending to be weak. His strength hasn't disappeared at all and he's even improved. Not only that, the dog beside him has also become a practitioner dog. Just how great of a background did he have to be in order to be able to do this? That dog, Yu Kuan, had already beaten it to the brink of death. Just how many treasures would it take to heal it? Not to mention the other noble houses, even our house, you might not be able to take out so many treasures, let alone using them on a dog. Plus, to train a dog into a practitioner dog, it's already hard enough for a person to train, and now they've gotten a practitioner dog. Is it because they don't have anywhere else to use the treasures, or is it because there are too many masters out there and they're just looking for fun? Yufeng listened to his father's words and lowered his head. His father was right. From these little clues, one could see how powerful Lin Yi's background was. How could he act rashly? Then what do we do now? Just endure it? Yufeng asked, a little discouraged. All we can do now is endure. You have to remember, those who want to achieve great things have to learn how to endure. Yuan Go Jian, isn't that the epitome of enduring? Shueixing said. I'll contact your uncle about this and see if he has any suggestions. As long as the hidden house you stands up for us, we don't have to be afraid of anything, but I'm afraid that the people over there won't make a move easily. Then we'll just have to endure it for now. Yufeng nodded. The news that Lin Yi didn't lose his strength spread like wildfire. Zhen Dazhou and Zhen Yingjun were the first to know about it. When the father and son heard that Lin Yi didn't lose his strength, they were scared. They were afraid that Lin Yi would come to them. Godfather Ma, when will your master come out of seclusion? Lin Yi has not lost his strength. I heard that he is now seeking revenge from his enemies. Zhen Dazhou turned pale and said to Ma Zhu, people from House Yu and Xiao family are dead, Yao Wang and Zhao Qibing are injured to varying degrees, what should we do? Is Lin Yi's next target us? What? Lin Yi has regained his strength? Ma Zhu heard the news and felt that it was unbelievable, followed by a wave of sadness. If Lin Yi was crippled he would feel better. But now Lin Yi was fine but he was crippled. How could Ma Zhu feel good about this? Yeah, I'm afraid that Lin Yi will come to us for revenge. Zhen Dazhou said worriedly. He regretted provoking Lin Yi. Not only was his son's bloodline gone, but Ma Zhu was also heavily injured. If he dares, he'll die when my master comes. Ma Zhu laughed coldly. From his point of view, although Lin Yi wasn't simple, he was nothing in front of his master. When will Godfather Ma's master come? Can he hurry? I'm afraid that Lin Yi will come before he comes. Zhen Dazhou said worriedly. My master is an Earth-class master, but according to the rules of the Hidden House Arbitration Association, Earth-class masters can't appear in the common world unless there's a reason. He already applied to the Arbitration Association. Ma Zhu frowned and said. Ma Zhu knew his own situation. He knew that the rules of the hidden aristocratic families only applied to those hidden aristocratic families. To those big sects it was useless. In front of those super ancient sects, these hidden aristocratic families were just a piece of cake. The hidden houses couldn't do anything about it. They didn't even have the right to know about the ancient sects. But Ma Zhu's sect was very small. It was just a newly established sect. This kind of small sect would naturally be restricted by the Hidden House Arbitration Association. I see. Zhen Dazhou nodded. Then what do we do now? My master said to wait for a while. When he comes it'll be easy. Ma Zhu said. As soon as Ma Zhu finished his sentence, there was a knock on the door. Oh. Zhen Dazhou asked subconsciously. What? Lin Yi said faintly. Lin Yi already knew from Zhao Qibing where Zhen Dazhou and his son were staying. What? Zhen Dazhou jumped and almost fell to the ground. He looked at Ma Zhu with fear. Godfather Ma, what do we do? Didn't I tell you to wait for a while? When my master comes, won't it be easy to get rid of him? Ma Zhu frowned impatiently. Although he hated Lin Yi, he knew that with his current strength, he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi. Oh. Zhen Dazhou walked over in fear and opened the door. He forced himself to be calm. Lin Yi, what are you doing here? We're even now, right? Godfather Ma was injured by you and my son was crippled. What else do you want? Or even now. But this time I'm here for something new. It has nothing to do with the last time, Linny smiled and said calmly. Something new? What do you mean? Jin Dajo froze. Last time you blackmailed me. This time it's my turn to blackmail you. Linny said. Blackmail me? Jin Dajo's face changed. 500 million. I like to pay back double. You blackmailed me 250 million, so it's not a lot for me to blackmail you 500 million, right? Linny smiled at Jin Dajo as if he was harmless. If you don't give it to me, I'll kidnap your son and go to Donghai to destroy all your properties. I'm good at demolishing buildings. I've already destroyed 2 of Zhao Qibing's buildings. Isn't it fun? Chapter 964. Talented girl of House Lu. Jin Dajo had never heard of a ransom like this. His face was green from anger, but he didn't dare do anything to Lin Yi. Who knew what would happen if he pissed off Lin Yi? Lin Yi even dared to kill people from Shao family in House Yu, let alone him. Plus, Lin Yi said that if he didn't pay up, he'd go to Donghai and tear down his property. This made Dajo feel extremely humiliated. Only now did he understand what it meant to be an evil person. Compared to Lin Yi, he was nothing. 500 million. I can't take it out. Dajo suppressed his anger and said. Oh, then give me how much you have first. Lin Yi said, write me an IOU if you don't have enough. Alright. Dajo gritted his teeth. I only have 250 million now. He knew that if he held it in, he'd have to wait for Ma Zhu's Shifu to come. How much Lin Yi wanted, he'd have to cough it up. Lin Yi was robbing him in the open and he'd do the same. Ma Zhu's Shifu would just stand there and ask for money from Lin Yi and Peng Zhan. If he didn't pay up, he'd kill his entire family. Dajo at this moment had completely forgotten about the lessons of Shao family, House Yu and Zhao Qibing. The people who threatened Lin Yi to kill Lin Yi's family were all killed by Lin Yi. But even if he thought of this, Dajo didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. As far as he was concerned, Ma Zhu's Shifu was much stronger than Lin Yi. He was an Earth-class master and had mastered the Golden Shield. Unless he was crushed by a meteor or something, normal road rollers wouldn't be able to do anything to him. No matter how strong Lin Yi was, he couldn't beat Jianghu who was so much higher than him. Moreover, Mystic and Earth-class were worlds apart. With that thought, Jin Dajo took a deep breath and buried this hatred in his heart. He was going to wait for Jianghu to get back at Lin Yi. 250 million? Lin Yi frowned. I gave you 250 million already, why do you have 250 million already? I did have money before, but I used it to treat Zhening Jun. Jin Dajo's eyes were filled with hatred. How dare you ask me where the money went? If it wasn't for you, would I have spent so much money to treat Zhening Jun? Alright, 250 million it is. Transfer it to this account. Lin Yi said as he gave Dajo an account number. Jin Dajo didn't do anything. He directly transferred 250 million to Lin Yi and wrote an IOU to Lin Yi. Yanjing House Lu. Although what happened in Songshan these days had nothing to do with Lu Tianyi paid more attention to the situation in Songshan than anyone else. Lin Yi was injured and lost all his strength. This was a piece of news that Lu Tianyi received. After the news of Lin Yi losing all his strength, House Lu exploded. Lu Jinhu's son, Lu Tianli, came home with a long face and found Lu Tianyi unhappily. Big brother, I don't want to criticize you, but how can you just lend money like that? Our Lu family's money doesn't grow on trees. It's earned by me every single cent. You're the heir of the house, and if you want to borrow money, I'll lend it to you without hesitation. But when you borrow money, shouldn't you investigate if the person has the ability to repay? I heard that Shao family, House Yu, and the Hidden House's bastard Master Bing are all going to cause trouble for this Lin Yi. It's hard to say if he'll even be alive when that happens. How can he repay the money? Tianli, you need to look at the long term. Even if Lin Yi doesn't have his martial arts, he still has his medical skills. It's only a matter of time before he returns to the top of this world. Lu Tianyi wasn't too worried about the situation in Songshan. What's the use of medical skills if he's dead? Lu Tianli said, unconvinced. Dad, I think Uncle's right. This Lin Yi, if he's really as amazing as he says, then he'll be able to provide us with a helping hand in the future. A young girl beside Lu Jinhu interrupted. House Lu started with business and politics, but we don't have any practitioners. This is a hindrance to House Lu's development. We may have a marriage alliance with House Wu, but we're still too weak. We need to find a new helping hand. Sometimes we need to gamble. This 100 million can be seen as a gamble. If we win, we'll get unimaginable benefits. If we lose, we'll just think of it as 100 million. If Dad doesn't feel good about it, then deduct it from my bonus. This young girl was Lu Tianli's daughter, Lu Jinghan. House Lu's genius. She started doing business with Lu Tianli when she was 15. To the outside world, Lu Tianli was the one in charge of House Lu's business. But those who knew the inside story knew that this 15-year-old girl was the one in charge of House Lu's business. She started her business at 15, doubled House Lu's business at 16, and doubled it again at 17. Right after her 18th birthday, Lu Jianghu allowed her to participate in House Lu's meeting. Lu Jianghu had already treated Lu Jinghan as the third generation of House Lu. The only regret was that she was a girl. If she were to become the head of House Lu, then unless her child was surnamed Lu, they wouldn't be able to become the next head of House Lu. They'd have to pick someone else from the family. Tianli Jingjing's right. We have to look at the long term. Lu Jianghu spoke up as well. If Lin Yi gets through this successfully, then House Lu will have built a good relationship with Lin Yi. House Lu will benefit greatly in the future as well. You may be good at business, but you're not as good at the big picture as Jingjing. You still have to learn. Yes, father. Tianli heard that his father had spoken up, and naturally he wouldn't say anything more. After all, he admired his daughter a lot. Chapter 965. Making friends with a love rival? Yeah, Tianli, if it weren't for Lin Yi, father wouldn't be this healthy right now. So, this 100 million, even if it's to thank him, what's the harm? Lu Tianli said. I understand. Tianli nodded. However, while House Lu was in the middle of a meeting, news came from the other side. Lin Yi didn't lose his strength, but was pretending to be weak. Yu Bide was dead, Uncle Pai was in a vegetative state, and Zhao Qibing's leg was broken. House Lu's couldn't help but look at each other when they heard the news. Lin Yi was at a disadvantage just a moment ago, so how did he turn the situation around in the next instant, turning from passive to active? Plus, wasn't Lin Yi a little too ruthless? He even dared to kill House Yu's Yu Bide, and even Xiao family's Uncle Pai was in a vegetative state? Even the hidden house Zhao Qibing's leg was broken by Lin Yi? This Lin Yi, he tricked us all. He was pretending to be weak all this time? We were worried about him for nothing. Lu Tianli couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Lin Yi was fine, so House Lu was the happiest. Lin Yi would probably remember that 100 million, and he wouldn't mistreat House Lu in the future. Indeed, I was short-sighted. Tianli sighed in self-mockery, but this Lin Yi sure is ruthless, isn't he? What he did, didn't he offend House Yu, Xiao family, and the hidden House Zhao? Wouldn't House Lu be in trouble if we get in touch with him? Lu Tianli fell into deep thought after hearing Tianli's words. The situation was indeed complicated. Lin Yi, House Yu, and the Xiao family were mortal enemies, and this hatred couldn't be resolved. If House Lu still stood on Lin Yi's side, wouldn't that put them in a passive position? With House Lu's current strength, it wasn't appropriate for them to become enemies with House Yu and Xiao family at the same time. Jingjing, what do you think? Jianghu didn't make any comments. Instead, he looked at his granddaughter and asked for her opinion. I think it's time to disclose the fact that Lin Yi saved Grandpa. Lu Jinghan pondered for a moment and said, Oh. Tianli paused, not understanding the connection between these two things. His daughter's question was completely irrelevant. Tianli was the conservative type. It was okay to keep a business, but it was hard to start a business. Wonderful. Jingjing, you are indeed the talented daughter of our Lu family. Lu Tianli suddenly clapped his hands and laughed. Lin Yi is the benefactor of our Lu family. It's only right and proper for us to be close to him. Otherwise, it would be repaying kindness with enmity. We helped Lin Yi for a reason, and even if House Yu and Xiao family knew about it, they wouldn't be able to say anything. I see. Tianli said, understanding dawning on him. That's right, although many of the noble houses do some dirty things behind the scenes, they still care about face and reason on the surface. We, House Lu, are indebted to Lin Yi, and if we don't stand on Lin Yi's side, then we'll be disloyal. Jianghu nodded. Let's do as Jingjing says. Yes, father. Lu Tianli and Lu Tianli agreed. Lu Jinghan, on the other hand, didn't look happy or pleased at all. She stood quietly behind Jianghu, but a trace of suspicion flashed across her beautiful eyes. Was this Lin Yi really pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Was there something she didn't know about? What a strange person. Lu Jinghan shook her head. She wasn't sure if this 100 million was enough to exchange for Lin Yi's friendship. Lin Yi went to Zhen Dazhou for the money after parting ways with Tang Yun, giving him Pingzhan's account. After Dazhou transferred the money, Lin Yi returned to House Chu's villa. The villa's door was already brand new and the broken parts were repaired, but the cement wasn't dry yet. Pengzhan didn't go to the company yet, but went to Faubert's room. Lin Yi's injuries were healed, and his strength had returned. Could he cure Faubert? Lin Yi had lost all his strength, and Peng Zhan couldn't ask Lin Yi to cure Faubert. He could only bring Faubert with him when they were escaping, and let Lin Yi think of a way. But now, everything was in the past. Peng Zhan wanted to ask Lin Yi to see if he could cure Faubert. The Miss and Yushu, on the other hand, were sitting on the sofa in the living room, whispering to each other. Why isn't Shield Bro back yet? What's he doing? Yushu looked at the clock in the living room, calculating the time. He's probably going to see Tang Yun. He's not going back home anymore, so he has to go talk to her. Mingyao knew Lin Yi very well, he treated Tang Yun very well. Oh, I wonder if Tang Yun will be disappointed? Shield Bro's going to be with us again, she'll probably faint from anger when she hears about it. Yushu said excitedly. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Mingyao spoke up for Tang Yun for the first time. Actually, Tang Yun is very selfless. She can give up everything here and go back home with Lin Yi. This shows that she cares about Lin Yi a lot. Since she was chosen by Lin Yi, then we should accept her when we accept Lin Yi. Oh, then Yao sis, do you accept Tang Yun as Shield Bro's second wife? Yushu asked. What do you mean by second wife? Mingyao glared at Yushu and frowned. What I mean is, we can all be good friends, at least we won't be at each other's throats like we are now. How can a love rival become good friends? Yushu asked curiously. Who's the love rival? I told you I don't like Lin Yi. Mingyao said. Oh Yao sis, you're lying. Yushu didn't believe it. Okay, then let's say I like Lin Yi. It's just an example, it's not real, Mingyao said. Mingyao said, but you like your Shield Bro too and you want to be his concubine? Are we rivals in love then? I think so, Yushu shook her head. Then are we good friends? Mingyao asked again. I think so, Yushu nodded. Then why can't we be friends with Tang Yun? Mingyao asked again. But, Yao sis, what you said is just an assumption. You said you don't like Lin Yi, it's not real, Yushu said. Yeah, if it's not real then we aren't love rivals, right? Mingyao was pleased with herself. She finally got Yushu into it. Oh. Yushu was a little confused, she shook her head. Then be friends with her, I don't care, it's good enough to be a second wife. Chapter 966. Borrow and return, as the saying goes, a palace maid who doesn't want to be an empress isn't a good palace maid. Yushu said. Then why are you still a small wife? Mingyao was confused after hearing Yushu's words. I'm not done yet. But a wife who doesn't fight for the first wife is a good wife. Yushu added. Mingyao rolled her eyes, speechless. The two were talking when Lin Yi pushed the door open. He saw Mingyao and Yushu in the living room, but Peng Zhan wasn't there. Uncle Chu left already? No, Daddy's in Faubert's room. Mingyao shook her head. Lin Yi, you didn't go to school? Oh. Lin Yi was slightly startled, not understanding what the eldest miss was referring to. Actually, Mingyao wanted to ask Lin Yi if he went to see Tang Yun, but Lin Yi didn't understand. She couldn't say it out loud, so she just said, it's nothing. Peng Zhan heard the conversation in the living room and walked out to see Lin Yi. Lin Yi, do you have anything else to do now? No more. Lin Yi shook his head. By the way, Uncle Chu, I've asked Jin Dazhou to transfer 250 million back to your account, but 100 million was borrowed from Lu Tianyi. You have to return it to him. Money's coming in already? Peng Zhan's eyes widened. Yes, I told him that if he didn't give me the money, I would kidnap his son and raise his businesses in the East China Sea. Then he gave me the money, Lin Yi said casually, as if he was talking about something very ordinary. Peng Zhan was speechless after hearing Lin Yi's words. He could get money like that? This Jin Dazhou is really a coward. Where did the domineering attitude he had when he kidnapped Yao Yao and asked for money go? But now, Peng Zhan understood that the so-called dominance was something that could only be displayed in front of those who had no strength. Just like himself, he didn't know what to do when facing the kidnappers, didn't he too, not knowing what to do? Jin Dazhou, on the other hand, had probably lost his temper because of Lin Yi's threats. Who asked House Yu Xiao family and Zhao Qibing to learn from their mistakes. No matter how stupid Jin Dazhou was, he wouldn't go against Lin Yi at this time. Shield Bro, you're amazing. How did you get money like this? If you don't like someone, you can just scare them for money. Yushu said excitedly. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Extorting someone is a crime. Mingyao stopped Shu from continuing. What I'm saying is that Shield Bro specializes in extorting bad guys. Yushu added. It's better to be like that, you bide, slapping him to death. Mingyao said. Yao sis, you're even more vicious than me. Yushu exclaimed. Lil Yi, since there's nothing else, can you take a look at Faubert's injury? Peng Zhan waved his hand, telling the two girls to leave Lin Yi alone, and asked Lin Yi. Uncle Chu, I came back in a hurry to take a look at Faubert's injury. Lin Yi said, let's go, we'll go now. Oh okay. I'll ask the accountant to transfer the money to Lu Qianni? Peng Zhan received a notification from the bank and asked Lin Yi. And transfer it. I'll call Lu Qianni. Lin Yi nodded. Okay. Peng Zhan replied and went to handle the transfer. Lin Yi dialed Lu Qianni's number. The Lius were having a family meeting and had just come up with a strategy when Lin Yi's call came in. Lu Qianni quickly picked up. Hello? Miracle Dr. Lin, hello. Mr. Lu, I've used up the money. I'm preparing to transfer it back to your account. Please check when the money arrives. Thank you for your trouble. Lin Yi said gratefully. House Lu's generosity at this time made Lin Yi look at them in a different light. His impression of Lu Qianni improved a lot. Godly Dr. Lin, you're too kind. What's there to return? You can just take it and use it. Aren't you looking down on our Lu family by returning it? Lu Qianni heard Lin Yi's words and felt a little disappointed. Miracle Dr. Lin, do you not see me as a friend anymore? Why would I? If we weren't friends, I wouldn't have asked Mr. Lu. Lin Yi said calmly, but there's a saying that goes, it's easy to borrow again when you've borrowed it. If Mr. Lu doesn't want it anymore, I won't dare to ask Mr. Lu again. Is that so? Lu Qianni hesitated. He smiled bitterly and nodded, all right. Since Miracle Dr. Lin insists, I'll do as you say. Hee, but to thank Mr. Lu for your generosity, I can help you or your friend with a free treatment. Lin Yi naturally wasn't someone who didn't thank others after using them. Naturally, he had to give Lu Qianni some benefits. Oh, how can I accept that? Lu Qianni was flattered and disappointed at the same time. After all, Lin Yi returned the money and promised House Lu a treatment. That meant that he was even with House Lu. This made Lu Qianni, who wanted to build a good relationship with Lin Yi, fail. It's nothing. Lin Yi smiled, that's all for now. I still have something to do here. All right, Miracle Dr. Lin, I'll leave you to your work. Lu Qianni hung up and sighed helplessly. What's wrong, brother? You don't look too happy? Lin Yi already returned the money. What's not good about it? Qianli roughly understood what Lin Yi was talking about. Not only did he return the money, but Lin Yi also promised House Lu something. Why didn't he look too happy? Lin Yi transferred 100 million back to my account. Lu Qianni smiled bitterly, plus, Lin Yi promised me that he could give House Lu a free treatment. That's a good thing. Qianli didn't understand what Lu Qianni was saying. Not only did Lin Yi return the money, he also promised us something good. This is a great thing. Why aren't you happy? Qianli, you've been doing business for so long. You've been making steady profits every year, but you haven't broken through yet. Why is that? Jianghu spoke up. And Jing only went for a year and the profits doubled. Why is that? Chapter 967. Chapter 965, Year from House Sun? It's your vision, but your vision is still that of a businessman, not an entrepreneur. Jianghu said. Businessmen focus on profit when they do business, and if there's a price, there must be a price to pay. Otherwise it'll be a loss. You, on the other hand, wouldn't do something that's a loss. That's why the family business has been profitable all these years, never losing anything. This is your ability. Qianli, on the other hand, lowered his head in silence as if he was being taught a lesson. Entrepreneurs, on the other hand, have to look at the long term, not at the short term. Jianghu said. Jing, why don't you tell us what you think about this? Yes, Grandpa. Lu Jinghan nodded slightly and said, Lin Yi returned the money to House Lu and promised us something. This means that Lin Yi doesn't really treat House Lu as a friend, but as a token of gratitude, he's done with House Lu. We may have gotten some benefits for now, but it's not something to be happy about. Did you hear that? Qianli, this is the difference between you and Jing. She can multiply the group's profits in her hands, and you, on the other hand, are just sticking to the rules. Jianghu waved his hand. Forget it, it's too easy to get Lin Yi's friendship with just this. We'll have more chances in the future. I heard that the ranking of the noble houses might change in the upcoming meeting, and it looks like Family Zhao's name is fated to be erased from the list. Yeah, who's next after Family Zhao? Looking at the strength of all the noble houses, House Lu is the weakest. Lu Qianni said. Although we'll be able to maintain our position in the near future, who knows what will happen in the future. Lin Yi, naturally, didn't have the time to think about House Lu's loss. He'd already followed Peng Zhan to Faubert's room. At this moment, Faubert was lying quietly on the hospital bed, motionless. His body was still full of silver needles, which were inserted by Lin Yi before. Lin Yi quickly checked Faubert's physical condition and found that it had not deteriorated, so he could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. How is it? Can you save him? Peng Zhan asked anxiously. Sure. Lin Yi nodded and said, let Yao Yao and Shu stay in the living room and alert me at any time. If there's an intruder, let me know immediately. All right. Peng Zhan didn't dare to delay and quickly walked out of the room to order Meng Yao and Yushu. He knew that Lin Yi was going to use his unique method to heal Falbert, so he didn't dare to disturb him and quietly left the room, closing the door for Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't plan to heal Falbert in one day. Although on the surface the enemies seemed to have calmed down after being beaten up by Lin Yi, but there was no guarantee that there would still be people who would do something desperate. So Lin Yi planned to heal Falbert in a few days so that he could recover quickly after his energy loss. After all, even if Falbert was healed, he would still be a cripple, so Lin Yi wasn't in a hurry. After all, physical practitioners were different from spiritual practitioners. Lin Yi could only heal Falbert's injuries to the most basic state, but he couldn't let him recover his strength. This was because physical practitioners trained the body, and Lin Yi couldn't train for him. Lin Yi activated the art of dragon mastery and started to heal Falbert's meridians. The energy in Lin Yi's body was continuously transferred to Falbert's body, quickly healing his damaged organs. Lin Yi planned to heal Falbert's internal injuries first, then his external injuries. Once the internal injuries were healed, Falbert could wake up. As for whether he could get off the bed or not, it wasn't too important. Half an hour later, Lin Yi let out a long breath. Healing Falbert's damaged organs cost Lin Yi a third of his energy. When he healed Falbert, Lin Yi didn't hold back like when he healed Wuxia. He completely healed Falbert's organs. Falbert had been lying on the bed for a long time. Once his organs were healed, he slowly woke up. Seeing Lin Yi in front of the bed, he was slightly stunned and said anxiously, Mr. Lin, hurry up and save Miss and Shu, they were captured. I've already saved them. Lin Yi smiled. He didn't expect Falbert to be so loyal, sacrificing himself for Yao Yao and Shu, and the first thing he said after he woke up was to ask him to save them. Phew. Falbert let out a long breath. That's good, that's good. Mr. Lin, you saved me? Yes, it must be, I'm asking the obvious. Thank you. Falbert, you're treating me like an outsider. We're not strangers and you got injured because of Yao Yao and Shu, how can I not care? Lin Yi smiled indifferently. He didn't think that healing Falbert was a credit. I can't thank you enough. Falbert nodded. Oh right, Mr. Lin, call me Little E, that's what Uncle Chu calls me. Lin Yi interrupted Falbert. That's fine, I'll call you Little E then. Falbert hesitated and agreed. Little E, I've always been curious. Your pure energy can actually be used to heal others. You have to know that only disciples of the same sect can use their pure energy with each other. If you're not from the same sect, not only will your pure energy not benefit others, it will also cause harm. I know that, but I'm a bit special. Lin Yi naturally knew what Falbert was talking about. Different types of pure energy entering a spiritual practitioner's body would require more pure energy to refine, or else it would be life-threatening. This was also why Lin Yi didn't use the art of dragon mastery and sent his energy into Yao Wang's body. Not only could his pure energy not be used by Yao Wang, but it could also severely injure him. You're from House Sun? Falbert hesitated and asked. House Sun? Which House Sun? Lin Yi paused. Aren't you? Falbert saw Lin Yi's shocked expression and knew he guessed wrong. He shook his head. Yes, House Sun can't heal so many people at once. Their pure energy can only be used by one or a few people. What do you mean? Lin Yi was a bit interested. Falbert, you mean that this House Sun has the same ability as me? It was the first time Lin Yi heard of a house that had the same ability as him, using pure energy to heal others. Chapter 968. A crazy idea. This House Sun is the so-called healing house? Lin Yi asked. Yes, the Sun family is still one of the 4 big aristocratic families and 5 small aristocratic families. The children of the Sun family can also be said to be inner force cultivators, but they are not good at fighting with others. The true chi in their bodies can only be used to heal others or improve their skills. Uncle Fu nodded and said, but most of the Sun family's children can only heal one person in their lifetime before they break through the first level of their family's secret art. Once the true chi in their body is assimilated by someone else, it can no longer be changed. Unless he breaks through to the second level, he will be able to heal 2 people and so on. Currently, the head of the Sun clan can only heal 4 people. However, he has already used up 3 spots and there is only 1 left. Oh. Lin Yi found Falbert's words strange. House Sun's cultivation method was similar to his, but completely different. They had to spend a lot of effort to break through to the next stage in order to heal 1 more person, but he was only at the first stage of the art of dragon mastery, and his energy was omnipotent. Therefore, the descendants of the Sun family are the targets that all the aristocratic families want to rope in through marriage. Which aristocratic family doesn't want a life-saving trump card? Falbert's face turned gloomy at this point. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. You probably have nothing to do with House Sun anymore. Of course my surname is Lin, not Sunday. Linny nodded. But Falbert, you seem to have something to say? You seem to have a deep connection with this House Sun? There are some things I've never mentioned to Mr. Chu. Because he's not a person of the Jianghu, I don't want him to worry about these things. Falbert sighed. But you're a person of the Jianghu. Just think of it as me nagging you because I'm old. Since you've heard it, then forget it. I think this is all I'll be for the rest of my life. It's impossible for me to recover my strength. Now that I've told you these things in my heart, I can be at ease and be an old housekeeper. Falbert, go ahead. Lin Yi could tell from the start that Li Fu was a man with a story. There were many times when he saw Lin Yi that Li Fu wanted to say something but didn't. Now that he was injured, he knew that he couldn't recover his strength. He was depressed and wanted to talk to someone, and Lin Yi was a good listener. You guessed right, my wife is from House Sun. At this point, Uncle Fu's murky eyes seemed to flash with a glimmer of light, as if he had returned to his younger days. And my real name is not Li Fu. Lin Yi didn't expect Falbert's wife to be from House Sunday, then before. There's no need to talk about my previous identity. Failure. Falbert sighed. That was 20 years ago. At that time I was proud of myself. As the young head, I had the strength of a peak late-phase mystic class. I could be said to be one of the best in all the sections. I married a woman from House Sun, and with her help I broke through to Earth class. I was young and successful. What? You're in Earth class? Lin Yi's eyes widened as he looked at Falbert in disbelief. Falbert was an Earth class, but he was only a golden class before, an Earth class early-phase spiritual practitioner. Uncle Fu nodded his head with a hint of pride in his eyes. However, he soon let out a bitter sigh. But a disaster has befallen us. Our sect has been destroyed, my wife has been killed, my daughter has gone missing, and the sect's treasures have been stolen. I don't even know who the enemy is. What? Lin Yi couldn't be more shocked. If it weren't for the fact that he'd known Falbert for so long and knew that he wouldn't lie so easily, Lin Yi would have thought that Falbert was making up a story. I've hidden my identity for so many years, investigating the truth of the matter in secret. But there's no news. These years, my desire for revenge has faded. Seeing Miss Chu is like seeing my own daughter, so I took care of her with all my heart. It can be said that I've found some comfort. Falbert sighed. Isn't it a little strange? Lin Yi nodded without hesitation. So you're a spiritual practitioner? After my meridians were damaged, I hid my identity and trained in physical arts again. At that time, I only wanted to stand at the peak again, to avenge my wife and daughter and my sect. But now, I don't even know who the enemy is, not to mention revenge. Falbert shook his head and said, I'm telling you because it's uncomfortable to keep it in my heart. Just treat it as a story. After listening to it, it'll be over. Falbert didn't expect Lin Yi to help him with anything. These secrets had been kept in his heart for so long that it made him feel a little depressed. Now that he had said it, he was relieved. Lin Yi knew that Falbert didn't speak in detail. There were many details that he didn't mention. He only roughly described his past. But although Lin Yi was puzzled, it wasn't good for him to ask. After all, these were the scars in Falbert's heart. If Lin Yi asked, it would only make Falbert more sad. If Falbert wanted to say it, he would slowly tell him the truth in the future. If Falbert didn't want to say it, then it was useless for him to ask. You used to be a spiritual practitioner? An Earth class at that? A crazy idea popped up in Lin Yi's mind. Yes. Falbert nodded and smiled. But a real man doesn't boast about his past achievements. It's all in the past. I've said it all. Just treat it as a story. Falbert, if it's possible to recover your strength, do you want to try? Lin Yi asked after thinking for a while. Recover my strength? Falbert was obviously stunned, but then he smiled bitterly. You want me to start from the beginning again? I don't have any confidence anymore. Lin Yi, I understand that you want me to pull myself together, but I've really given up. I thought that I could have a breakthrough in my physical kung fu, but all these years, I've been stuck at the peak of the late phase of the golden class. Even if I wanted to break through to the mystic class, it's still far away. You have to know that physical and spiritual are two completely different things. The higher you go, the harder it is to break through. Haha, I'm talking about the spiritual style, Lin Yi smiled and said. Spiritual style? Falbert was slightly stunned, but there was a flash of surprise in his eyes. He then said with some uncertainty, You mean, you can help me practice spiritual kung fu again? But my meridians? I can repair them. Lin Yi nodded and said with certainty. Chapter 969. Creating an Earth class. If his own meridians could be repaired, then Falbert's meridians could definitely be repaired as well. His own energy was omnipotent, and Lin Yi believed that it wouldn't be difficult to do so. It was just a matter of time. As long as he didn't use up all the energy in his body every time, he'd be able to recover his strength in a short period of time, and his enemies wouldn't be able to take advantage of him. But after he repaired Falbert's meridians, Lin Yi wasn't sure if Falbert would still be able to practice inner chi again. But no matter what, as soon as this idea came to his mind, Lin Yi couldn't help but want to test it out. If Falbert's strength was restored, then Lin Yi would have an Earth class by his side. Just thinking about it was enough to make Lin Yi excited. You're saying, you can repair meridians? Falbert asked, a little uncertain. Yes. House Sun could do it, so you should be able to as well. Falbert, I'll use some time to help you repair your meridians. Lin Yi nodded and said with certainty. A trace of excitement flashed through Uncle Fu's eyes, but it was quickly extinguished. Lil Yi, even if my meridians are healed, I don't have any chi left in my body. If I want to cultivate, I'll have to start from scratch. What's wrong with starting from scratch? Lin Yi said. You were able to reach the early phase of an Earth class 20 years ago, isn't that because of your talent? It's not too late to start from scratch now. Of course I have talent. Uncle Fu sighed. However, my strength is the result of the accumulation of countless heavenly treasures and the help of that thing. That's why I have such unparalleled strength. But now, Lin Yi fell silent after listening to Uncle Fu's words. He'd underestimated the situation a little too much. Yes, Falbert may have been an Earth class before, but he might not be able to reach it again. One had to know that in many cases, leveling up and breaking through required luck and luck. No matter what, let's repair your meridians first? Maybe there's another way? Lin Yi didn't want to give up. The temptation of an Earth class was too great. If there really was an Earth class, then Ma Zhu and the like would be nothing. Very well. Since you have such high hopes for me, how could I let you down? Uncle Fu nodded with a smile. Thinking about how I still have to protect Miss Chu, I'll continue cultivating as well. Alright, we'll stop here for today. I'll come every day to help you repair your meridians and injuries until you're fully recovered. Every day? Falbert smiled bitterly in surprise. Your chi recovery is quite fast. I don't even know where you absorbed it from. You have to know that the chi in the city is thin to a certain extent. Every time you lose a lot of strength, you can recover very quickly. It's really amazing. Hee hee. Lin Yi smiled and didn't explain. He couldn't tell outsiders about the Jade Space. These secrets could only be shared with the old man. Lin Yi couldn't trust anyone else. If you're bored and reminisce about the past, you can continue to chat with me. Falbert understood Lin Yi's meaning. He wanted to ask about the details of his past, but Falbert didn't want to tell Lin Yi too much. With Lin Yi's current strength, there was no need for him to know these things. It wouldn't do Lin Yi any good. I'll keep what happened today a secret from Uncle Chu. Lin Yi turned and left Falbert's room. Thank you. Falbert said seriously. It wasn't just that Lin Yi wanted to keep it a secret. It was that Lin Yi wanted to help him recover his meridians and strength. Pengzhan, Mengyao, and Yushu sat on the sofa anxiously, waiting for Lin Yi's news. Falbert could be said to be Pengzhan's right-hand man. He'd been loyal to him all these years. So he cared a lot about Falbert's safety. As for Mengyao, other than Pengzhan, Lin Yi, and Shu, the person closest to her was Falbert. So in her heart, she prayed that Lin Yi could cure Falbert. Yushu may have been joking around all day, but in her heart, she was the most loyal fan of Shield Bro. She also cared about Falbert, but she was even more certain that Shield Bro could cure Falbert. The first rule of a mistress was to believe that her man was the best. How is it? Pengzhan saw Lin Yi coming out and quickly walked over. Falbert is awake, but the follow-up treatment will take a few days. Lin Yi said. He's awake? That's great. Pengzhan's face lit up. Thank you so much. Uncle Chu, you're being too polite. Lin Yi waved his hand. It's nothing. Can we see him? Pengzhan asked. Of course. Other than the fact that Falbert can't get out of bed yet, he's very energetic. Lin Yi thought that Pengzhan was being too careful. Falbert was just telling him a story. However, Pengzhan was using common sense. As far as he was concerned, Falbert was like a patient who had just come down from the operating table, and Lin Yi was the surgeon. That was why Pengzhan asked Lin Yi like other family members. The pressure on House Chu disappeared in an instant, and Pengzhan Industries returned to normal. Even some of the higher-ups of the company didn't know what happened a few days ago, but since Peng Zhan didn't want to talk about it, they didn't ask. In short, everything was over. Songshan regained its peace. All the enemies of Peng Zhan Industries seemed to have gone into hibernation and disappeared without a trace. Even Zhao Qibing wasn't arrogant anymore. He quietly went to the slums and started a renovation project. All he could do now was to make some money from his own business. Yao Wang's body was full of needles, but he still hadn't found a solution. Although Yao Wang was a mystic class master and could sleep sitting down, these needles were like a time bomb that could make him lose all his strength at any time. Lin Yi's life returned to normal, but now Lin Yi took over Faubert's job, becoming the Miss and Shoes driver every day. The Bentley was repaired, but Lin Yi didn't like to drive such a formal car. Lin Yi wasn't a professional driver, so he chose Mingyao's Audi S5. However, there was one more person to pick him up, Tang Yun. Chapter 970. Spilled the beans. Mingyao was still as cold as ever. She and Shu sat at the back of the S5, leaving the front passenger seat for Tang Yun. Only when Tang Yun got in and out of the car did Miss greet her. Although it was a little indifferent, it was less hostile. It was more like a normal friend nodding at her. Tang Yun's attitude towards Miss was strange. In the past, Mingyao and Shu would always show hostility when they saw her. But now, it seemed like they were treating her as a normal friend? Did they look down on her and didn't see her as a competitor anymore? Or did they give up on Lin Yi? If it was the former, Tang Yun felt that she couldn't let her guard down. But if it was the latter, Tang Yun would feel strange. If they didn't like Lin Yi, then her four-person team was too strange. In fact, Tang Yun didn't understand Miss's personality. Miss was cold on the outside but warm on the inside. When she accepted someone, she would change from cold to warm. In fact, Miss's attitude towards Lin Yi was still cold, but in her heart, she treated him as a friend that couldn't be lost. Mingyao didn't know what to say to Tang Yun. Plus, with Lin Yi here, she couldn't say anything. She wanted to try to get to know Tang Yun, but she realized that the two of them were living in two different worlds. Miss hadn't experienced Tang Yun's family before. Mingyao didn't want to talk about her own family either. It would be like showing off in front of Tang Yun. 2 days later, Lin Yi himself was starting to feel uncomfortable. In the car, he wanted to say something to Tang Yun, but he remembered that Miss was staring at him from behind, so he couldn't say anything to Tang Yun. Miss also didn't want to talk to Tang Yun because Tang Yun was in front. She didn't even talk to Shu. In the past, the young Miss and Shu would talk about all sorts of topics. However, the two of them were financially well off, so it was natural for them to talk about new clothing styles and cosmetics. But now, the young Miss seemed to be purposely avoiding these topics. Fortunately, after 2 days of Lin Yi's treatment, Faubert's body had recovered to its original state. It was just that he didn't have the strength of a physical practitioner, but it didn't affect his movements. The task of the full-time driver fell on Faubert again, which made Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. On the highway from Yanjing to Songshan, a black Audi with a special license plate was speeding along. In the car, a middle-aged man and a young girl were talking. These two were Feng Tianlong and Xiao Xiao, father and daughter. I won't go there again. Unhappiness was written all over Xiao Xiao's face. We've wasted so much time and we haven't gotten any results yet. How many more months do I have left? Xiao Xiao, you should believe in the current medical technology. Look, this is the report when you first came to Yanjing and this is the report when we left. Your condition has obviously improved. Tianlong pointed at the report. Better? Did they cure him? All they do is make me draw blood every day and that's it? Xiao Xiao pouted. I even had a relapse in the middle of the journey. If it weren't for Lin Yi, I'd be dead already. Lin Yi. Tianlong's eyes narrowed when he heard the name. As one of the most secretive intelligence departments, Feng Tianlong knew everything that happened in Songshan City. Lin Yi was up against the bastard of House Yu Xiao family and House Zhao. Although Yu Bide and Uncle Pai's death had nothing to do with Lin Yi, it was still Lin Yi's fault. His grudge with House Yu Xiao family and House Zhao was now set in stone. What interested Tianlong the most was that Lin Yi was able to recover and regain his strength so quickly after being heavily injured, and so was the dog beside him. That meant that there had to be a very powerful medical expert by Lin Yi's side. Tianlong's information was naturally the most comprehensive and detailed, but he still couldn't find out who it was that healed Lin Yi and helped him regain his strength. Lin Yi had gone to Xu Amin's house once during this time, but it was only after his injuries had healed. The possibility of it being Xu Amin wasn't high. Tianlong had guessed that this person was Xu Amin, and the reason he came back to Songshan with Xiao Xiao was to see Xu Amin and ask him for a pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. He wanted to see if it could cure Xiao Xiao's illness, but after this incident, Tianlong felt that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing didn't seem to be made by Xuemin. If Xuemin could make these miraculous medicines, he would have done it a long time ago. Why would he wait until now? Plus, why did everything that had to do with Lin Yi become so strange and mysterious? Lin Yi's figure had appeared at the auction as well. Lin Yi had helped his team on a mission before, but Lin Yi was an external helper at the time, and his identity was kept a secret. Tianlong knew the rules and he didn't ask too much about Lin Yi. But now for his daughter, Tianlong had no choice but to ask Lin Yi about some things. Plus, there was another meaning to this: his daughter seemed to like Lin Yi? Did it happen when you were in Yanjing? Why didn't I know about it? Tianlong turned to his daughter. Why didn't you tell me about something this big? It's not that big, I was just taking a shower when I suddenly fainted. Luckily Lin Yi found me in time and I don't know how he did it, but I recovered pretty quickly. Xiao Xiao didn't want her father to worry and it wasn't a big deal. She was fine, wasn't she? So she didn't say anything. You were taking a shower and Lin Yi was beside you? Tianlong blinked. Wah. Xiao Xiao realized that she'd spilled the beans and her face reddened, a little embarrassed. No. I just, it's not what you think. It was the first time Xiao Xiao was rambling in front of her father, like a child who'd done something wrong. She waved her hands around, not even knowing what she was saying.